make sure everything's working. As you do. Hey, Savvy! Oh god, it's so bright. Okay. Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so it doesn't pick up the goober. Because I don't want to close my door. It's really hot in here, and so I'm trying to keep the air circulating. I guess just let me know if you can hear too much of him, and then I'll close the door. It says he's peeking the mic, but I don't know how much he's coming through. Take into account that when this boy talks, he's in another room. He's in, like, the other side of our house. Which isn't very big, but I'm in, like, a whole other room than he is. There's a wall dividing us. It's wild. You don't hear him? Okay. I could just be paranoid. Oh, I forgot to change out my, I gotta get Cove. Hold on. I still have Xenos. Xenos is vibing with us. But yeah, my air conditioning isn't blowing like cold air, it's just blowing air. So it's been pretty warm the past couple days, and we have all the fans on. And we have the windows open because it's been cool outside. It's cooler outside than it is in our apartment because our apartment has no air circulation at all. So we're trying to encourage the air from outside to circulate into the building, and it's just not working. Because I can't open the windows very wide because I have cats. It's a whole mess. Anyway. We'll hop right in. Hopefully, you know what? We are going to get 2 of these done today. 2 of these at least. Alright. You perched at the kitchen island while whiling away the minutes until your sister joined you downstairs. Why can't I say words, you guys, sometimes? There was quite an adventure planned today. Lee was coming down from Sunset Bird area as part of what she called a little trip. Oh yeah, we haven't seen much of Lee yet. Wait, did we not see Lee at all in the main story of this? I guess we didn't. Oh. During, like, the 19-year-old portion, she just wasn't around, and I totally forgot about that. Outside of, I think you have 1 phone call with her. Apparently she thought how nice it would be to go on a private boat trip this summer to celebrate graduation and everything. That'd be so nice. I love boats. What might have been an idle dream for most people turned into a reality in Lee's hands. You'd been invited along for the ride by your best cousin. It was kind of insane she could make that happen. You were eagerly anticipating the adventure. It'll be great to see her. The idea of being on a ship worried. You were pretty mellow. I'm excited. I like boats. There's something like really nice. There's really nice about them. You just sit out there with the waves. It's calming. It makes me sleepy. It wasn't every day that you got to ride on a proper boat, let alone a private one. You were excited to get out on the water and see the ocean from a fresh angle. You weren't the only one who was heading out on the trip. Liz was coming. Yeah. Your moms had been invited, but hadn't been able to find the time to squeeze it in. Aww. So the trip would only involve the kids of the family, a term that had stuck despite all three of you being adults. Mom would have joked about cramping your style, but there was apparently plenty of room on the ship. Lee had been more than happy for you and Liz to bring other friends along if you wanted. So that means we're bringing Cove. But the trip out to Sunset Bird, then even further out to where Lee and the boat would be, just wasn't feasible for most people. Not many folks lived close by. There was, naturally, of course, one person who would always be there for the ride, Cove. You were just about to meet up with him outside. Of course. Of course! That boy is ride or die with me. I love him. Hi, Poe! Lee had been glad when you'd told her he'd be able to come along I can't read today. Just as you were thinking about your cousin and her plans for the day ahead, your phone sprang to life. I was about to say, like, started ringing. My brain is filling in the gaps before I'm reading the actual thing. Glancing at the display, you saw the incoming call was from Lee herself. You answered it without pause. Hey.
Hi.
She dove straight into the topic, the trip meetup. You could hear the trill of excitement in her voice. I'm here now and everything is all set. All you gotta do is show up and we'll be off. She spoke quickly, animated by anticipation. I mean, usually people do this earlier, right? Like, you would, if you're going on a boat trip out into the ocean, I think you're typically, I mean, I guess you can plan it anytime, but I feel like most people start it early, because then you can stay out on the water. You echoed her enthusiasm. Great, I can't wait to see you. Liz and Cove are definitely still on board too, right? Yep. Wonderful. There's still a bit of time before we're due to set off if there's anyone you want to extend a last-minute invite to. No need to keep the guest list sparse. Oh, can we invite Baxter? That'd be cool. It's not like we'll be bumping into anyone else to join in when we're out in the middle of the ocean. A shark? I'll invite a shark. Well, there's this new guy in the neighborhood I like. There's this new guy around. I think I might like him. No one really comes to mind. Oh, I think you might like him. Invite him, Little. You've got to see if he wants to come. I need to see who your new friend is. Alright, I'll do it. No idea if he'll be free, but I can try.
Talk to you later.
Then I'll let you go. I have to if I want to see you here in the flesh. She uttered the last words dramatically, making them seem more like a threat than a statement. Laughing, you shook your head. Lee chuckled along down the phone. Bye. Yeah, of course I'm gonna invite Baxter. He's cool. I like him. Now that your attention was free, you looked over at the stairs to see if Liz had emerged yet, but there was still no sign of her. You figured you might as well go out and see if Cove was ready in the meantime. Besides, you needed to stop by Baxter's place and invite him along. Liz would catch up, you were sure. You caught up the stairs to let her know your plan. You sent her a text. You left her to it. She'd figured. I'll tell her. Liz, I'll be outside. With that, you hopped off the chair and headed out the door. A sunny day greeted you, shielding your eyes with your hand. You admired the sky. It looked like good weather for heading out on the water. That was something. Oh god, is it gonna suddenly shift and it's gonna be a storm and it's gonna be all dramatic and cute? Also, girl, get yourself some sunglasses. You heard your name called and turned automatically. Cove was the source of the call. He was standing halfway between his house and yours. He waved at you as he walked over. You waited for him to join you. You took a step in his direction. You ran over to him. You ran over and threw your arms around him. I mean, I'm always for being cute. But is this kind of dramatic? Sure, we'll be cute. You tore across the street and pounced on him, wrapping him tightly into a hug. The winded gasp you knocked out of him turned into a chuckle halfway. Ready to go? Cove nodded easily, blinking languidly. Kill me in the sunlight. Then his mouth curved into a gentle smile. First jet skis, now a boat. What an aquatic transportation device is up for us next. Fuck, kill me. My money's on a submarine. You laughed. It'd been an adventurous summer for sure. Cove grinned, pleased that he'd amused you. Cove glanced away, chewing his lip with consternation. Is it really okay for me to come? Yes. Of course, you don't even have to ask, right? Cove rubbed the back of his neck, frowning as if he was trying to work it out for himself. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a really ritzy trip and Lee's your cousin, not mine. Okay? And bitch, you were invited. I mean, the two of us, me and Lee, are friends, maybe? But it's not like we've ever hung out on our own. I'm kind of worried I'm gonna be out of place. There's no way you'd be left out. She wants you there, I promise. Oh, you're so difficult. Don't you want to go on a boat? And that's thanks to you. His voice was affectionate, with particular emphasis on the you. Like it was the star of the collection. Well, they all like you, Cove. Cove managed a small smile. The worry hadn't lifted from his rigid soldiers, but soldiers? What the fuck? Kill me. But you could tell that he was attempting to project a little more confident. I'm just gonna start skipping words. I'm gonna go, don't worry. I meant to tell you I'm going to be inviting Baxter too. I've got to check if he's in now before we run out of time. Oh, really? Cove was stunned. He hadn't been prepared for any extra surprises. He shook it off, however. Alright, it's not like this isn't already gonna be awkward for me. I thought we were like on okay terms with him now. Like we're cool with him. He was joking, mostly. I'll wait for you here. See you in a bit. You strolled over to the condo Baxter was staying in and rang the doorbell. Oh no. Oh, is it gonna do this freezing thing again on me? Oh, man. It did good. It did pretty good last time. Didn't give me a hard time. Man. We may have to close and open it again. See if it'll let me. Oh, Jesus! Alright, hold on. Hold on. Oh my god. It scared me. You recalled the last time you had been at Baxter's store. It was when he had invited you over for a visit. It was nice that you'd be able to extend your own invite this time. Before memories could claim you, the door slid open. Baxter looked out, his head tilted in interest.
Nice to see.
Fuck me, stop.
Nice to see.
He keeps like flicking through him faster. Don't do this to me today.
Nice to see you.
What a nice surprise. He folded his arms over his chest, leaning casually against the doorframe. Is there something I can do for you? Want to head out on a boat ride with my family in Cove. We're taking a boat trip right now. Are you on board? So the thing is, we're going on a sort of trip now. You could come if you want to. His eyes widened only briefly before resting back in his usual languorous expression. It was either an expressive show of restraint or Baxter's life involved more impromptu boat trips than yours. Perhaps both.
I can do that.
I'd love to. There we go. So you didn't have plans already? That's great. To your surprise, Baxter's mouth curled into a small smirk. My schedule is always open for an improved itinerary. I'm flexible, remember? Oh my. Oh. He was not only agreeing to come on the trip, but apparently canceling some other plan in order to make it happen. Baxter was certainly something. I mean, I don't know what his plans involve. He just seems to fuck around, which he's just enjoying his summer. So, like, if your plan was to, like, oh, just go to the strip, and then somebody invites you to go on a boat, you're like, fuck, that's actually a plan. Let's do it. Thanks for keeping me in mind. I think this is going to be fun. Yes, friendo! He slipped outside after securing the door behind him. He swept out an arm and indicated for you to lead the way. Are you gonna bring swimming stuff? I feel like we should be swimming. Do we not? Okay. The first stop was to collect Cove. He was waiting, as promised, where you'd left him. Cove, good to see you. Hi. There was still no sign of Liz. You took the opportunity to bring Baxter up to date on the plan for the day. He took in your words with interest. Only a minute or two more passed before the door to your house finally opened, Liz framed within it like a portrait. Unlike you, she had no need to shield her eyes with her hand in order to protect them from the sun's bright rays, as her hat was performing the job admirably. Oh man, maybe I should have brought sunglasses. Or a hat. Spotting you, she headed straight over. She smiled warmly at you and Cove as she approached. Her attention then promptly turned to the group's new addition. It's nice to see you again, Baxter. His eyes closed as he bowed his head in a nod ever so slightly. And same to you. Living on the same street had given Liz and Baxter the opportunity to get to know each other over the course of the summer. Yeah, that makes sense. Though she'd spent less time with him than you had, you'd appreciated that she wouldn't object to him tagging along on the trip. I asked him to join us. Just as you'd expected, Liz didn't have much of a reaction to the change of plans. She merely raised her eyebrow. Yeah, well... Yeah, it's almost spooky time for us. Oh, they should have a Halloween DLC for this game. That'd be fun. I feel like you and Lee will become fast friends. Baxter smiled politely. With that, your little group piled into the car. It had been decided in advance that you'd all be heading in Cove's car. Then you set off for the journey down the coast where you'd be meeting Lee. You wound down the California shoreline with sparkling ocean waters on one side and craggy cliffs on the other. Oh, why is it freezing up like this? I'm afraid to touch it now that it's gonna like flip through everything. I've been okay. I have lots of stuff going on. I've been busy. Alright, give it a minute, see if it'll catch up with itself. Like it did last time. How's the weather? Hot. Hot as always. I'm wondering how long I wanna... Oh, Jesus. It keeps doing this. It seems to adjust whenever I do something. It changes like the window view too. So maybe I should be adjusting that, but I'm not sure. The world blurred until eventually you made it safely to the large harbor. Jesus. It is far grander scale than the one near Mr. Holden's shops. Boats 2, 3, even 5 times larger could fit. Liz took charge from there, calling up your cousin to guide you the rest of the way. Lee did her best to explain where precisely the boat was docked. Oh yeah, that hurricane was rough looking. Given that she was doing it without seeing where you were, that was a good area. She was only slightly familiar with herself. She did a pretty good job. It took a bit of fumbling, a little retracing of steps, as your cousin and your sister had different definitions of orange. That was rusty brown, Liz had protested. Yeah, I saw some clips about that like I don't remember what it was, but there were just bits of like buildings and cars mostly covered in like underwater. Before too long, you heard her voice calling you, not from the phone in Liz's hand, but over the wind rolling off the ocean. Searching for the source of the sound, you found her on the prow of the ship, jumping into the air and waving frantically for your attention. She dashed from the bow over to the gangway, where you boarded one by one. Look at her, she's so cute. Hey everyone, I'm glad you got here. Last time I went to the beach was 7 years ago. I do miss the beach, but after that I'm not sure. I love the beach. I would never live in Florida. But, I used to live near the beach for quite a few years, and it was nice. You get bored of it when you live there, but it's still nice. I'm so glad you all got here today. You could tell, even if she'd said nothing, her bright grin as she saw you all spoke loud and clear. You smiled at her, you waved, you gave your cousin a wise, full-on hug. You wrapped both arms around her and pulled her tight against your chest. Squealingly, you returned the hug just as tightly. After greeting you, Lee turned to look over the faces of the others who'd be joining you on your ocean voyage. Her attention was immediately pulled to the only one in the group that she'd not met before. Grinning, she approached him.
My pleasure.
I'm Lee. I'm so excited to meet the mysterious new man on the block. What a coincidence. I was looking forward to meeting our gracious hosts for the day. Oh god. They're flirting. Stop. But I must confess, I'm not that mysterious. I'm rather open. I do hope that doesn't count me as a disappointment. Not at all. I can appreciate forwardness. Yay, you'll love him then. Welcome aboard. With that, she glanced over at the others. So do we have a driver? One of us isn't driving, right? Like, I don't know if I trust us.
Thank you.
Lee, thanks again for taking us on this lovely trip. Cove hovered awkwardly behind you and your sister, even with Liz's broad sun hat. He was too tall, and the group too small to hide effectively. He made fleeting eye contact with Lee, then looked away. Hi, thank you for letting me come. The boat is cool. He chuckled nervously. Lee smiled, entertained by his bumbling phrasing. Hi, Cove. She giggled as she spoke, unable to hide her amusement. Cove lowered his head. He patted his arm reassuringly. You stood in front of him like a shield. You couldn't help but smirk in his direction. You rubbed the bridge of your nose. We're all gonna have a good day. You don't have to laugh at him. Poe's little game of hide-and-seek is pretty funny. He didn't say anything. Poe smiled weakly at you. His face flushed. You could tell that he appreciated your show of support, but still embarrassed about needing the help. The floor seemed to give beneath you. As Lee whooped in delight, you realized that the ship had pulled out into the water. Oh, we weren't warned at all. I don't think that's proper boat safety. It had been so steady while it was moored that you'd temporarily forgotten you weren't on solid ground. Now as the boat rocked beneath your feet, there was no doubt you were truly setting sail. An area called Halloween Town in VR chat, but it wasn't there. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea how VR chat works. The little group dissipated into chatter or headed over to railings to watch the ocean. You were ruffled by the breeze, which seemed stronger out on the water than it was back on the shore. Yeah, it's so nice, man. I love boats. You just sit down and you enjoy the wind. The floor continued to rise and fall, reminding you of standing in a bouncing house while others jumped. It was refreshing. You were curious about how this trip would go. You felt unsure. It was scary. It was refreshing. As you let your surroundings truly sink in, you thought today was shaping up to be memorable. You were glad that you'd been able to join Lee on this trip. We can really get the party started now. She's so cute! I have seen her in this outfit, so at some point she did show up during the 19 events, and I don't remember exactly when that was the case. Oh, wonderful. What did you have in mind? Well, the word hung in the air as your cousin stalled. It was clear that she didn't have something immediately in mind. Pove's eyes sparkled as he piped up. We can get out of the boat, like go swimming around the deep ocean? Well, it didn't look like anybody brought swim gear, even though I feel like we should have. Sometimes you'd swear that boy was part merman, and the way he was continuously drawn to the water, but Liz immediately squashed the suggestion. No. Her tone left no room for debate. Baxter chuckled, combing a hand through his hair. I'd prefer to stay on board too. You're both fucking lame. I take it back. Me and Cove are just gonna go swimming. Sorry, it's not that kind of boat trip. It isn't supposed to stop anywhere. If someone did end up off in the water, the captain would call the Coast Guard on us. Both shoulders slumped at the resound rejection. Aw, poor baby.
Alright.
That's disappointing. Suck it up. Oh, mean. We'll still find something fun to do. No way am I getting in the water. You didn't comment. The decision was right. Truthfully, there isn't that much we can do on the boat that we couldn't technically do back on land. I often take trips with my father on our boat. He always spends the time deep-sea fishing. I'm not much of a fisherman personally. Activities that could also be done while not on a boat sound excellent to me. Visibly bolstered by Baxter's support, Lee smiled warmly at him. My dad also takes me fishing sometimes, though we do it on the docks of my dad's shop. I'm not good at it either. I don't have the patience for fishing, man. Baxter snickled, his expression warm as he looked at Cove. He appreciated the delicate attempt to relate, especially with how standoffish Cove normally was with him. Aww. That's the fate of sons and their dads, apparently. How lucky we won't be doing that now. Aww. Liz nodded. There's nothing wrong with some non-nautical themed activities. We could play a party game for all I care.
Yeah.
You saw her brow furrow for just a moment as she mentally conjured possibilities into smooth out as one came to mind. What about one where something is written down and people give clues and one person has to guess what it is? Sure, I said I'd play a party game and I stand by it. Who's guessing first? Wait, I don't get what we're doing? I don't care who goes first. We propped her chin on her head, hand surveying the group. Baxter, Cove, Little, Liz, then me. Sound good? Her suggestion was met with nods and murmurs of approval. Great. We can get the game going right away. With a devious grin, Lee picked up a pen and notepad from her bar counter. She twirled the glittery pen in her fingers. Lee clarified the rules after Cove raised a wavy eyebrow. Random words would be written down and folded up to give to another player. Okay? When it was someone's turn to be the guesser, they would show everyone else the word, but couldn't look at it themselves. Is this like the forehead game is what we're talking about? The other players had to help the guesser figure out what the word was without saying it. Oh yeah, it's like the forehead game. Okay. Each person was allowed to say only one clue. If all the hints were given, then the guesser would have to only one clue. That's lame. Lee gave each guest at the mini party a piece of paper with her notepad. It was surprisingly thick-lined paper with a little starfish printed out at the bottom. She scrounged around to find more writing implements. She managed to dig up a short pencil with an old jelly grip on it, a ballpoint pen with a logo you didn't recognize, and a purple crayon. Baxter had a nice pen with him already, so he respectfully passed on Lee's offer. He just has a pen. Of course he does.
Okay.
Pick one. Pencil. You pulled the pencil from the fanned assortment of options Lee had presented to you. The pencil's grip's cool, squishy texture and your grip was distracting but not unpleasant. We can also just take that off, really. After the random selection of words were determined and the papers were passed around, it was time to start.
Alright.
I guess we know who's going now. Baxter fished his paper out from his ripped pants pocket and presented it to the group. Loopy handwriting spelled out the word slide. Uh-oh, kids like it, it's for kids. I'm confused. Did we write down our own? Yeah, I'm confused. Kids. He bounced enthusiastically, holding out a hand to indicate the short height of children. Baxter nodded slowly. It's at playgrounds, but not really small ones usually. The playground around our neighborhood doesn't have it if you've been there. He shook his head, still perplexed. Unfortunately, I've not. Dang. You've been to playgrounds before, though, right? Baxter had to pause to think about it, and he shrugged.
Maybe.
In my elementary school, I did have recess, but we had sports fields more than traditional playground. Yeah, I've had schools like that. For some reason, it's hard to picture you as a little kid. Well, I'd rather you not imagine that so it all works out. I feel like he'd be cute. Cove placed a finger on his cheek as he puzzled out the game's conundrum. He tapped his face absentmindedly. It's slippery. You can't really walk on it? Slip. Every clue lost Baxter even more. He had no idea what the word could be. Oh no! You sit on it, then you go down. It's tall and long, and you have to climb up to the top. You can go on it one way, but you really can't go up the other way. Baxter, do you know how to do the cha-cha-cha? Oh, the cha-cha. It's fine if you don't get it. I'll let it. Penguins do it on their bellies. Oh, he teaches... I feel like this is... I want to know what this one is. Cha-cha slide? Oh, slide. It worked! That's it, slide. Baxter's floundering confidence returned in full force with a broad grin. Got it. He flipped the paper over and traced his fingers across the word. He smirked at it. Thank you very much for the tip. Liz patted you on the arm with approval. Yee. You had the magic approach that time. Cove flipped open his paper and showed it to the crowd. He kept his hand at the back of the note so he couldn't see the word, even if the light shone through it. In a blocky, wobbly text, you read the words potatoes, and you pursed your lips together as you thought what you could say. Oh my god. Potatoes. A spud. Can we use spud? It's not potato. Sack. Liz turned her head with an incredulous expression. While Lee continued her thought, she jumped up, pointing right at the paper Cove had in his hand. Put them in a sack. Cove blinked at Lee, deeply confused, and Lee smiled back, full of confidence that he would come to understanding eventually. It's the major vegetable you use in croquet. I love you, Baxter. You don't know what that is. Really? Baxter was earnestly taken aback as if Cove just said he'd never had toast. Maybe we should change that. There has to be somewhere in this town that serves them, right? Liz cleared her throat, saving Cove from having to respond beyond this, his frown. It's that Mr. Toy with different faces and things. Cove tilted his head, utterly baffled at the different directions that everyone had taken.
What?
What's a Mr. Toy? Liz simply shook her head at the lack of understanding. It was your turn. Oh no. They're brown and lumpy. They are sweet versions and regular versions. They're very common starchy root vegetable. We'll forget croquettes, french fries. My mom loves them mashed and Ma thinks it's bland. You gave him a look, sending the answer right to him while filling in the blank Baxter had left. Yes! Or a singular potato?
Yeah.
You're right. Cove repeated it again with a bright beaming grin. I'm not as good at this game as like in real life. I'm terrible at this game in real life. Potatoes. Cove was so cute sometimes you couldn't help but feel happy over his victory. He held his hand out for you in a celebratory high five. You smacked his hand back, you gave him a fist bump, you gave him a thumbs up. He switched his hand to a fist without comment and fist bumped you back. Aw, that's our thing. Thanks for the hint. I didn't think you've gotten it without. I would have gotten it without that. You're welcome. Yeah, why wasn't... I mean, I guess because it was Baxter, but why didn't anybody go for french fries? Congrats. Now let's go again. You unfolded the paper given to you. Careful not to peek while you showed everyone. Liz leaned in closely with a thoughtful, oh, now I have to guess. Oh no, I don't want to do it. As soon as Lee had a chance to read the word, she jumped up. Dog. There's a popular type of dog sometimes called that. It's where scientists do experiments on stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a secret location? Oh! Liz gave Cove an edge to look she probably thought it would confuse you. It can be used for photos as well. I know what it is.
Good.
Yay! I'm glad it let me type it. That's cute. I got it. Everyone cheered. Liz gave you a round of applause. You looked at the paper. In a neat, tiny writing, you saw the word lab. Woo! Wow, that was dumb. You breathed a sigh of relief. Ugh. It would have been embarrassing to not get it. The clues from the others had led you to be pretty sure of your choice, but still. Cove shot a gentle smile your way and you nodded back. Hopefully the game continued to go well. We should definitely keep this ball rolling. Suddenly the boat tipped forward before rocking back harshly. The ship must have gone over a bigger than usual wave. Liz held onto her hat desperately. Lee laughed at her immediate death grip. You never know what'll happen on the high seas. We chuckled too. Watch out, Liz. You wouldn't want to lose. Such a nice topper. You felt a burst of nausea. You started feeling really freaked out about being in the middle of the... No, it's fine. You and Lee chuckled together while Liz stuck up her nose. However, your sister was now smiling and her hold had slacked. The game continued with Liz and Lee taking their turns. It was such a good time that you all decided to play a few more games. Liz turned out to be the best guesser, although that could have been because you knew her well enough to give her relevant hints. Yep, that's the thing. If you can be like, oh, that one thing that Bernie said on the summer of 95 or something, like, and they're like, oh, the blah 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 is. Right? If you know somebody that well, you can get them to guess anything. Lee had to stop herself from answering on the first clue she was given, but no one really minded. All in all, everyone was glad that Lee had suggested the game. Why don't we have some drinks? There's a bar on the ship. Cove tilted his head in disbelief, and Lee continued.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff behind the counter. I bet one could make something they could think, whatever they can think of. That sounds like an interesting challenge. There's lots of different juices and stuff. I think I've seen a strawberry puree and pineapple and carrot juice. Sounds intriguing.
So...
Oh, it's a juice bar. Yeah, I was hoping it was. I was like, I don't think this game is gonna have underage drinking in it. It might, but I don't know if it would do that. Yeah. Liz laughed and tapped Lee on the shoulder. You said bar, Lee. I think you gave the wrong idea. Oops. Sorry for the disappointment, Cove. No alcohol is provided by the ship. That's probably required considering the group they've got today. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not disappointed by that. I didn't want to get drunk on a ship. I'm a little disappointed. Baxter! Lee breezed past that misunderstanding as though it hadn't even happened. I was thinking we could mix them up and get something special. Anyone interested? Cove thought about it, intrigued. Liz smirked, recognizing the potential for chaos. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. It'll be a dream, trust me. So, who wants to make drinks?
What?
What, it was your idea, why don't you do it? I've mixed drinks before. If anyone else wants to try, this would be a great chance. I'm a gracious hostess. I want to make drinks. Cove and I can make drinks. Come on, Lee, you have to do it. I'm not gonna voluntold Cove to do it. I can do it myself. You're gonna create something wonderful, I just know it. You wondered if you ought to ask for requests, but Lee hustled you off to a non-alcoholic bar. No one else followed. Lee gave a brief tour of the selection of various compartments before she went back to the tables. She shouted a final message over her shoulder. Make sure there's enough for everyone. She waved, and then you were left alone with the juice. Juice. Yeah, I didn't want to, volunteer him without... I didn't want to feel like I was forcing him into it. But it would have been nice to do it with him, but whatever. There was a fridge packed with cartons and various glass bottles of juice. Lee had placed a pitcher on the counter for you to mix things into. Everything. Just to fuck with them. You stared at the options, trying to see just what you had to work with. There was a lot of choices. You reached into the fridge to take out some juice. You grabbed... Oh boy, here we go. What the fuck? Okay, so the carrot juice just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, all of these are fruity-ish. Oh, hi, coconut water. And then there's carrot juice. Dude, I don't fucking know. Alright, well, grape juice sucks. Pomegranate juice is kind of okay. Bro, the mixed raspberry one? Oh, the berry juice. Mm. Dude, I don't know. Sure. And pineapple. And coconut. Sure, what? Sure. That wouldn't. Yeah, that's fine. I don't fucking know, dude. With your juice done, you set out some glasses and poured it out. For everyone. Oh, it's doing this freezing thing again. Oh yeah, like moving it in and out of full screen fixes it. That's so weird. The group got up from the lounge chairs they had been sitting on and came to fetch their drinks. Everyone picked up a glass and took a sip. Liz squinted as she took a large swig of juice. She smiled. It's kind of odd, but it's weird. Weirdly in a good way. I agree, it's some nice work. He nodded as he took another slow sip. You don't have to drink it, baby. It's refreshing. Yay! I wonder what they say if you really do just dump all of them in there, and then they're like, why did you do this to us? How could you have done this? The ultimate betrayal. The little juice experiment was a good time as far as you were concerned. I got you. Contently, you all stood close together, some still holding their juice cups. Lee's eyes scanned the group and she giggled.
Right?
They're so much nicer than having to rely on regular phone calls to catch up, right? Before anyone could respond, Lee's eyes widened, the corner of your mouth pulled into an amused smile. Not that I don't enjoy our chats from afar, it's just more fun to actually be here together.
That's fine.
We understand. And yes, this is a fantastic little party. Happy graduation, Lee, Little, and Cove. Thanks, Liz. That was followed by more cheers in celebration of your high school careers coming to an end. Lee even lifted her glass to toast to it. When it settled down, your older sister had one more comment to add. And no one even had to fight over who gets to use the home phone. Oh. Lee threw her head back in thunderous laughter and she laughed, and the smile widened on your face. I remember that all the times Elizabeth here was trying to push me into being less Gabby. She needed me to just stop and she could call her other friends instead. Many teens have a too cool for family phase.
You're welcome.
Yeah, luckily, it's only A-okay. Oh, it's all A-okay. I forgive Liz for being a teenager. That got a hearty laugh out of Liz. You caught a quick snicker out of Cove, too. At least Little kept me up to date on what was happening in Sunset Bird those difficult days. I never knew what wild thing you were gonna fill me in on next. Lee leaned in merely a step closer. A mischievous look in her eyes had you preemptively bracing for whatever she was going to say next. Uh-oh. Like when you tell me all about your tween romance. Shut your fucking mouth. Shush. You're about to break the best friend pact. She's about to break the best friend. No. Cove hung his head with a sigh. Even if Liz had briefly been the target, things always came back to teasing him in the end. Aww. But there was a small bashful smile underneath his embarrassment. Chuckling, Liz gave him a kind of pat on the shoulder. I couldn't wait to fill you in on what was happening. I had to tell somebody what was happening day to day with these people. Liz really missed out on some of those meaningful conversations. Liz and Cove shot you odd looks. They were both trying to sift through their memories of what other things you could have told Lee. You couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, they'll be thinking of that forever. It definitely is always fun to stay in the neighborhood loop. When Lee drank the rest of her juice down, at the very last drop, she made her way to the table over by Cove and set her cup down. Actually, Cove watched Lee as his mouth pulled into a lopsided smile. Making those juice concoctions remind me of a lot of the smoothie businesses down at the mall. The one that lets you pick all the fruits and goes into it. That was a good place. Yeah, it was the best. Exactly what I was channeling when I came up with this idea. I'm glad you caught that. It can take a while to get things sometimes, you all know that. I'm just happy to pick and mix drinks. It's fun. That's an understatement. You're sharp when you want to be. It's okay, Cove. You're good exactly the way you are. You meant it, and you hope that your sincerity came across alright. Slowly a warm smile spread across his face. The moment broke with the sound of Liz's quiet laugh. It was all it took to get Lee laughing. And soon, after all you were soaking... Oh my god, forget it. Though all that aside, you shouldn't leave Baxter out of the loop either. Everyone followed her lead and turned towards the guest of the summer. His expression softened as he shrugged one shoulder.
I get it.
While it's true I wasn't here for these stories, I do enjoy hearing about them. It's nice to only listen sometimes. Cool, really mature. Thank you? His gaze traveled from Lee to Liz and then over to you, and he sighed. My cousins aren't nearly as close in age as you are, and as an only child, I'm curious what this kind of relationship is like. Oh, I'm with you there, only child solidarity. Me too, bitch! Lee nodded firmly to Baxter and then shot Cove a serious look. He crossed his arms. Alright, only child solidarity. A genuine smile lit up Baxter's face. Lee clapped her hands together, pleased at the united front created. What? Sharing the same wavelength, you and Liz turned your faces to give one another a look. Not breaking eye contact, she reached over and put a hand on top of your head.
Thanks.
That's wonderful for you three. I'll keep little things. Aww. Your siblings' stare shattered into laughter. The others joined in as well. The hours were spent chatting away, sharing stories and favorite memories as the boat drifted out to sea. There is a driver, right? We talked about there being a driver, but I mean, still. As they slipped by, the sun hanging low in the sky signaled that it was time to set sail back to the harbor. The more boisterous atmosphere from earlier had settled into the blanket of comfortable relaxation. Liz and Lee were absorbed in conversation, lounging around the deck couch. Baxter sat across from them, nodding along, and every now and again you could hear laughter coming from the three of them. Nice! They're all getting along, that's cute. Cove had his arms. Oh! You had your arms wrapped around Cove. You and Cove are holding hands. You and Cove are leaning against each other. You and Cove are standing side by side. It's so cute! Soaking in the scene, you sighed contently. Your hands moved up to hold onto Cove's arms. You heard him hum happily at the added touch. It's so cute! The ocean breeze picked up and you closed your eyes. When you were ready, you looked back to the deck and the faces of everyone you spent the afternoon with. You never wanted to forget the view. Then, looking out at the wide open ocean, you committed every bit of the moment to memory. You quietly thought to yourself, today had certainly been an adventure. I mean, we really just went boating, didn't do too much. Alright, hopping right in. That one wasn't too long. It was only made longer because I kept stopping and stuttering. Fucking missed. I'm so bad. Like a lazy cat, you stretched your arms above your head and yawned, blinking your eyes sleepily. I was actually literally just stretching. The day was warm and pleasant. You were lounging on the couch in the living room, finding it difficult to do much in that moment. Your moms and Liz had gone out shopping looking for some new items for your sister to take back to decorate for her college dorm with. Oh, decorate her college dorm with. Gotcha. They had asked if you wanted to go with them, but you declined. For you, today was all about relaxation. Cove had dropped by to spend some time with you, content to join in with doing nothing. Literally attached at the hip. It's so cute, though. The two of you had been chatting idly as you lazed around, talking about the other things you had planned for the summer. You were sitting next to him. He sat on the couch while you sat on your own. He sat on the couch while you were fully stretched out on the other. You were stretched out across him as he sat on the couch. You had your feet propped up on one of the armrests, and you used Cove as a comfy cushion beneath your head, totally settling in. Cove gently wound his fingers through your hair as you rested on his legs, equally at ease. The day dragged on and you found yourself yawning more and more, often between conversations. You had almost dozed off completely when suddenly a buzz rang out, disturbing the silence. Your phone was on its charger in the kitchen, so it couldn't have been that. Cove pulled his own phone from the back pocket and checked the screen. No, don't move, it's comfy. His movement had jostled you, so you tried to readjust your position to get it right again.
Oh.
It's my mom. It's Mama! Cove waved his phone in the air, giving you a small smile. I'm gonna take this, I'll be right back. No, you can take it in front of me. Just, no. He carefully nudged you to move. You made a small noise. Why do you have to leave for that? He chuckled, a soft blush spreading across his cheeks. You're gonna make me miss the call. Can I have my arm back? Why don't you use the other couch to stretch out? You rolled your eyes at him, giving him a small laugh. Really, I just want to talk to her myself. It's easier for me. He poked you again, and finally, with a groan, you relented and let him go. He got to his feet and stretched out, answering the call and holding the phone to his ear as he headed off. I know, he's so cute. Tell her I said hi. Don't keep me waiting too. Oh. Tell Mama I said hi. He turned to give you a nod, smiling as he walked backwards towards the door. The lock clicked behind him as he exited the house, and you sank back into the cushions, idly trying to decide what to do next. After electing to grab your own phone from your charger, you resumed your position on the couch, tapping away at the screen. Playing the Vidge games. Playing Obey Me. Your mind drifted away from thoughts of Cove and his phone call with all the many ways your device could distract you. Seduce him! Girl, we did that last time. Where were you? There was a whole scene about it. It was an effective enough way to kill time, and you had to manage to do various things when the door opened again and Cove returned. He gave you a smile as he approached, as you figured the conversation couldn't have gone too bad. You missed it. Yeah. Yes! I mean, it's on YouTube. I can find it and send it to you if you want. You watched as Cove strolled over to where you were, still sitting. He crossed his arms across the top corner of the couch, resting them while bending forward and lightly. Oh, I see. Okay.
Hey.
I'm back. You gazed up at him fondly. You put your hand over his. You stretched up to hold his face. You told you, oh, you kiss the boy. He met your lips with his, closing his eyes and letting you kiss him longer than the one he had just. It's so cute. Everything's fine, just. He turned his head suddenly, running his hand through his hair and letting out an exasperated breath. He seemed nervous, but you couldn't imagine why. It's fine, not anything to worry about. You raised your eyebrow at his tone, moving your head to the side to try and meet his eye. That doesn't explain what's going on. He shrugged and gave you a tight smile, trying to play whatever it actually was off as unimportant. There's nothing going on, just stuff I have to deal with later, some other time. Why are you being so dodgy? He was transparently avoiding the truth, and you stared back at him seriously, an indication that you weren't going to ignore what he was doing. Eventually, he broke beneath your stare, hanging his head in his hands and groaning. I need to make another trip to Mom's place. There's some stuff out there that I'm gonna use, so I have to go pick it up. It wouldn't make sense to ship it. I couldn't bring the stuff back with me last time since I flew. Oh. Suddenly, you understood what the phone conversation had been about. Cove was going to drive to his mom's house in Nevada. When will you go? Mom thinks it would be best to do it now while I'm still kind of free, but... Cove pouted, giving you an unhappy look, and you could see the prospect of art was already taking a toll on him. I don't want to. I was just there, and for even longer than usual. Why do I have to leave right now when it's our last summer like this? Not knowing why he was being difficult about it, you thought it was cute he wanted to stay. You can hack it. I don't want you to go either. You shook your head affectionately. It showed how much he appreciated being there and spending time with you. Looking up again, you met his bright aquamarine eyes, finding a sad smile tugging at on his lips. Oh. Suddenly his eyebrows jumped, and his eyes lit up like a lamp. You could come with me. Yes, I could. What? You should come with me. I mean, I get that the two of us live next door to each other, and my mom lives in another state. My trips there are usually to spend time with her, just the two of us. But this time it won't be like that. All I'm gonna do is drive over, stay for a night, and then pack up the car in the morning and turn around again. Most of the time will be spent in the car, so it'd be good to have another person. Plus, you'd have the chance to see my mom again and her place. Maybe we could even find something cool to break at on the... Oh. You couldn't stop yourself from laughing at his enthusiasm. He blushed a little, reining himself in. I just feel like it could be fun. Please, could you think about it? I want to go. A road trip sounds fun. Yee! I'll have to let my moms know, but as long as we've got nothing else important on the days we pick, then there's no reason I wouldn't be able to go. He grinned from ear to ear, thrilled by the news. So cute. Sweet baby. He put both his hands on your cheeks, kissing your face all over, having to bend down far to do so. He didn't mind it one bit. Oh, thanks for reminding me that I said I was short. Then he wrapped his arms around your neck, letting out a happy sigh. I'm so glad. This is so great. I'll call my mom back and let her know right away. You spent some time together going over your schedules to make plans for when you could take the trip. You needed to fit it around Cove's work schedule, which he brought up on his phone to double check. Luckily, it was only a 2-day trip, so finding a couple free days in a row wasn't impossible. It wasn't long before the dates were finally set and all the plans were made. You were excited, you were content, you were nervous. Sure. A short trip sounded like a perfect way to spend some time. You could listen to music, eat snacks, and enjoy the I would pass the fuck out. If I'm not the one driving, I can fall asleep so easily in cars. It's awful. Like, if somebody else starts driving, I'm fucking out. No matter what you thought about things, the morning when you were due to leave arrived. It was cooler than usual. The sun barely peeked over the top of the house. You stood outside your house on a footpath near the road, waiting for Cove. You yawned loudly, covering your mouth in the back of your hand. Mornings were always a struggle. With your travel bag clutched in one hand, you watched as Cove finished packing up his car. He had organized all sorts of things, water bottles, snacks, and who knows what else. Oh my. Cove insisted he had everything under control and didn't need help. At least you could rest easy knowing that it was all taken care of. As you waited, you glanced over Cove's car. You knew it well. It used to belong to Mr. Holden, and when Cove had learned to drive, it passed to him. His dad had taken the opportunity to get a newer one. He was pretty old at this point, but had served both of them well so far. You just hoped it was enough to... it had enough life left in it to survive the trip as long as the one you were embarking on. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. The slam of the door closing made you jump. You snapped back to focus and saw Cove was walking towards you. He dusted his hands off of his pants and tilted his head towards the car. Let's go. He smiled and stepped aside, giving you space to situate your own bag where you wanted it. Once everything was safely inside, he glanced back at you.
All right.
We should get started. It's gonna be a ways to go. You gave him a high five, you hugged him. I gave him a hug. He seemed surprised, but he chuckled and returned the gesture. It couldn't last for long, though. Time was of the essence. I guess so, sort of. The two of you climbed into the car and buckled up, Cove in the driver's seat and you sitting shotgun. His eyes moved to you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming on this trip with me. Of course, it's no problem. After checking the mirrors and starting the engine, you pulled out of the driveway and the trip began. With a small sigh, you got cozy in your seat and watched the familiar houses of your neighborhood pass by. I would already be done. I'd be out. Gonna stop it. I don't know about that. But I mean, like, so on trips like this, whenever we do trips like this, I stay awake to like, or like I'll conk out and then we make a pit stop, we get coffee, I drink my coffee, I eat my breakfast or whatever, and then I just kind of like enter this sleep state. It's great. I love it. Mr. Holden's car was in good condition, but it was, well, older. There was no way to plug in a phone or play music, so the radio had to do. Okay, how old is this car? Because there's a good portion of, like, I put in quotes, older cars that can do that. I meant it in a smexy way. I know you did. Eventually, he settled on top 40 stations before sitting back and resting both hands on the wheel. Is this okay? Yeah, you know what I like. Yeah, it works. You nodded. Can I change it? I'd rather have it off. Smiled, happy with the answer. Time flew by, and with the scenery outside your window became more and more unfamiliar. Neither of you spoke for a good long while, because I was passed the fuck out. But the quiet was comfortable, and you had become all too used to each other's company over the years. Ugh. It's so weird to me that that's whatever the window is causing the issues. Eventually, Cove broke the silence, clearing his throat softly before he spoke. It's been a long time since you and I have spent time with my mom. I know she still comes to the neighborhood sometimes, but it's not even once a year. She's always going to hers. Or I'm always going to hers. Yeah, me too. But speaking of your mom and trips, remember the time she took us on the crazy drive all across town? He shook his head at the memory, his laughter clear and bright. Oh, I remember, I kept worrying about papers and shoes while you were having a blast. It was an amazing night. I wonder what I was thinking. Jeez, I was dumb. He smiled quietly to himself, clutching the wheel a little more confidently. With a crinkling of his eyebrows, a look of nostalgia crossed over Cove's features. Mom always knew how to make things memorable. Can't deny that. We do love Mama. Mama's sweet. Silence slowly crept back into the space, both of you thinking back on that night and all of the memories you had of it. Your elbow resting on the windowsill, you gazed out at the world that was slowly coming to life as the morning rolled on by. The sun climbed higher in the sky, forcing you to adjust the visor overhead and keep it out of your eyes. Do you mind reaching back? You don't have to use the visor to keep the sun out of your eyes. First of all, if you have sunglasses. Second of all, if you close your eyes and go to sleep like I do. Cove gave you a sidelong glance as he drove, indicating with a nod of his hand and a tiny smile. I want some chips, the salt and vinegar ones. It's the right flavor. I don't know how you eat that. I didn't have... The salt and vinegar is so good. Right? Eat whatever you want to. I brought a bunch. Stretching out the seatbelt to give yourself space, you twisted in your spot to reach into the bag holding the snacks. Salt and vinegar chips. So good. It took a bit of effort to sort through the collection of goodies stuffed inside, but eventually the bag of chips crinkled beneath your fingers and you pulled them out and sat back in your seat. Here. Thanks. Do you mind opening it? His eyes lit up at the prospect of snacks and you shook your head in amusement, popping the top of the bag. He poured a few chips in his hand. You held the open bag out towards him. Do you want me to... What's safest? Not this one. Cove, hold out one outstretched hand while you're trying to resist the urge to look at what he was getting. You did your best to have the chips fall into his palm, but did end up... Why didn't you take a handful... Okay, so this is my... We would take a handful and give him a handful. You wouldn't actually, like, dump it in his hand. Thanks. After that, you rolled up the top of the bag and stowed the chips safely in the back again. When you turned to the front, it was to find Cove crushing the fistful of chips into his mouth, crunching loudly. He wiped his hand on his pants absentmindedly before gripping the wheel and spilling the crumbs. Oh, baby! You're like a little kid. You laughed at that. How can you eat that much at once? I'm impressed. Cove mumbled through his mouth full of chips, giving you a brief thumbs up. You smiled back, shaking your head in amusement. God damn it. The hours drifted by much the same as that, with the two of you snacking and chatting as the day stretched on. It was fairly calm and quiet, traveling along the open road, and you found little in the way of interruptions. At one point you passed a "Welcome to Nevada" sign, and Cove gave a tiny cheer. He was in disbelief that the two of you were seriously all the way in another state like this. Eventually you had to stop for gas and make a detour at the small diner and grab a proper meal that didn't consist of chips and candy. After refueling both the car and your stomachs, the drive was back on, just as the sun began dipping beneath the horizon and bathing the sky in a wash of orange light. Yeah, Nevada! Cove informed you that there wasn't too much longer left to go. You were almost there. When night eventually fell in a blanket of darkness, the drive finally came to an end. Cove pulled into the parking lot of Kira's apartment building, and the glow of the car lights disappearing as he turned off the engine and let out a heavy sigh. The two of you exchanged tired smiles, having successfully and safely completed one half of the trip. You were relieved to have actually arrived and eager to get out of the car and stretch your legs. You took the stairs up to the building together. After a knock, you were abruptly met by a flash of green hair as Kira opened the door and immediately took her son in her arms. Hi, Mama! She's so pretty! There he is, my gigantic baby boy. Oh no. It's almost like it's savvy as a mom. She squeezed him for a moment, and before she could let go, Cove embraced her tightly back. It was a hold that reaffirmed of all the love he had for her and his mom. She stroked the top of his head in response. When his grip finally loosened, she pulled back and she could examine his face. Are you even taller than the last time I saw you? Cove gave you a look and rolled his eyes amusedly as she patted the tops of his shoulders proudly. You say that every time I'm here. It doesn't even make sense right now. My last visit wasn't that long ago. Kira simply laughed before letting him go fully and ushering the two of you into her apartment. Then she turned to you, a wide grin pulling at her lips. Little, it's so nice you came along with him. And as a bonus, you both arrived in one piece. Yeah, it's good to see you. It's been a long time. Kira beamed at you both, and while you would have loved nothing more than to settle down and rest after the drive, you could see she wasn't going to let you go that easy. So how was the trip? I admit I was just a pinch worried. We barely made it. I appreciate your concern, but it was alright. You felt the fussing was unnecessary. You'd be like, oh, we went to that. We made it without a scratch. Kira clapped her hands together, the bracelet around her wrists jingling. I'm so proud. I can hardly believe how mature you both are. Where did all of those smarts come from? Cove ran a hand over his hair with an awkward chuckle. I don't know, maybe I got some from my parent. His mom looked up at him deeply, his eyes glistening as she took the sentimentality off with a wave of her hand. You have to be half asleep already, huh? I don't want to keep you up too much longer. Early morning and any woozies. I love Mama. She's so cute. How do you want to deal with the sleeping arrangements? I've only got my own room and Cove's, though the living room couch isn't bad. Little can use my bed. I'll just sleep on the floor in the room. It doesn't matter for one night. Kira laughed out loud, startling you both. You raised an eyebrow at her outburst, giving her a quizzical look. Oh yeah, you'll stay on the floor. You couldn't handle that much back when you were 13 with both your parents in the... Oh. Yep. Oh, blushed a dark red and completely unprepared for her to pull out that embarrassing moment from the past. Her laughter continued unabated. You're going to be driving tomorrow. Do you really want to risk another potential head injury? Mama, no! No! No, the embarrassment. It's too much. Mom. You blushed, you laughed it off. He's had a long day. It's cruel to tease the poor boy so late, even if it's true. Yep, she's right. That's totally what you do. You were annoyed. She knows he's sensitive. It was uncalled for. You put your hand on Cove's arm. Was it really necessary to talk about this? I'll take the floor. I'll sleep on the couch in the living room. Thank you for letting me have the bed. Sure, that's fine. The last time I offered to take the floor for him, he was like, no, you're not fucking not.
Don't worry about it.
No problem. So would you be okay with me sleeping on the floor in the room? I'd rather be there than out in the open with the living room, even if there is a couch. Well, to be fair, they're not going to say that in front of the mom. Right? They're not outing themselves in front of the mom. Kira giggled softly, drawing your attention back to her. All funny stuff aside, you need to get some sleep for tomorrow. Seems like you're setting yourselves up to not get any. I know that sounds really capricious, but I'm a mom, I have to say these things. She's basically saying, no fucking in my house. No fucking, please. Please. Have some restraint. You guys have to drive tomorrow. I need you to be conscious, not worn out. Come on, we're not little kids having a sleepover. We're responsible adults. I don't know about that. I don't agree. Yes, very responsible. No, we're not. Well, I am. Go, Viz, though I can't say the same for myself. You simply smiled at him. Maybe we should say the alarm. Sure. She gave you, the two of you, a suspicious look. Oh no. I mean, Mama knows, right? Like, the parent knows. The parent always knows. You stood up straighter, trying to prove your point. I'll leave it at that then for now. Just remember that the walls here are thin in this apartment. If you can't settle down and sleep, I might have to separate you. Mama, no. It'll be good. Kira clasped her hands together, her bracelets softly tinkling against each other. It's only getting later, so I better let you prepare for bed. She nodded towards the hallway and gave you a small smile. I'll play hostess for a second and show you where the bathroom is first, little, and where you'll be staying the night. You hoisted your travel bag over your shoulder and followed behind Kira. Cove shuffled along behind you, disappearing into the bedroom while his mom had you go to the restroom. The apartment was small but nicely decorated in soft, cool colors and plenty of artwork hanging around the walls to give it character. Yeah, I feel like you would have to decorate a Nevada household in soft, cool colors. It was stylish and exactly what you would have expected from someone like Kira. After being shown the bathroom and wishing Kira a good night, you headed to the room and found Cove already there. He had changed into his sleepwear for the night as well as set aside his glasses already. Looking around, you found the bedroom to look much the same as the rest of the apartment, but with small ocean elements you sure were Cove must have enjoyed when he stayed here. All in all, the room was pretty clean, though it almost looked more like a hotel guest room than a bedroom. Cove only spent a few weeks out of the year there, so it made sense that it wasn't especially lifted. What do you think? It's pretty nice, huh? Mom always keeps it clean and everything, even when I'm not here. It's a great room. It seriously looks like a hotel room. That's sweet of her. She's good. She is a good mama. We love Kira. He seemed pleased enough with the response. I totally hit the button by accident, and gave you a small smile before opening the zip on his bag. When you went back to the room, you jumped in bed and under the covers just as Cove was shuffling into his sleeping bag on the floor. You waited until he was settled in before you flipped off the lights, and a soft glow from outside peeked through the blinds, casting shadows over the floor. You closed your eyes, blocking everything out. Good night. The room grew quiet as the two of you wound down for the night, and you found yourself listening to the sounds of the city outside the window. The noise out there was so different to what you were used to back home, cars zooming past and people out having fun instead of crashing waves and ocean winds cocooning your house in their embrace. This feels familiar, don't you think? We've been having sleepovers for years. Cove mumbled quietly and rustled his bedding, turning to face towards your location. Right? It feels like I've had this view so many times, looking up over at you tucked into bed. Oh. How many times? He trailed off a little and you assumed he was drifting off to sleep, too tired to continue the conversation. But then, as if a switch had been hit, he sprung up, startling you as he shot upright in his sleeping bag. Why am I always on the floor? What? You raised your eyebrow at him through the dark. The times I slept over your house, you got to stay in your bed, and I was on... It was your bed, after all. But when it was my family hosting thing, Dad always made sure you got a bed there. The words... Well, in this case, it's because you offered. It spilled out of him faster and faster, the pitch of his voice rising as the revelation spiraled. He'd say that you were the guest, so it was only right, no matter what. I've always been the one who takes the floor every time. This is a race. You can come join the bet. I'm sorry, I didn't want it to be that way. Them's the breaks. You only just realized that. Shh, don't be so loud. He felt really bad about the whole thing, but Cove was too hysterical to... My life is crumbling. Baby, come on. Can't believe it. This has been going on. Baby, it's okay. He stopped suddenly, and you could see through the limited light that his eyebrows were angled in disbelief. His frown wobbled. You gotta take that up with your dad. That's how it is in my family. My moms have always thought it was more fun and comfortable for the guests to use their own sleeping things rather than the stranger's bed. And in my family, the guest gets the bed because it's good to make sure your guest has a proper place to sleep. We were opposites all along, but I never even thought about it. When it looked like the situation was going to stall there, he suddenly scoffed.
It's okay.
At least you were comfortable all those times we shared a room. Even though he meant the words, he was being snarky about it. Despite looking on the bright side, he was still pouting. Aw, Cove, I feel so bad that you're unhappy. Thank you for making the sacrifice for me. Quit being a baby. You slipped out of bed, you knelt down on the floor beside him, though he promptly turned away from you and continued moping. It's not my fault! You kissed his cheek, you wrapped your arms around him, you ruffled his hair. Thinking of nothing else to do, you leaned in and snuggled him into a hug, earning a grumble in response. However, you didn't miss the blush that spread across his cheeks and stained his skin. I really do appreciate what you did for me. Okay, you really need to stop acting like a baby now. He made a sound of acknowledgement, and you took that as a good sign. With a slight smile, he gave you a playful nudge to go back to bed, which with a small sense of satisfaction you did. With a tired sigh, he flopped back down. I can make do with the floor for old time's sake. Some real humor came back to his tone. It's basically a tradition. Are you sure you don't want the bed? Why don't we share? Yes! I mean, he was just bitching about it. We can share. I mean, we're dating and we're, like, of age. It's fine. As long as we don't make too much noise. Cove inhaled deeply, the fabric of his sleeping bag crinkling loudly as he fidgeted beneath. I told my mom I was going to stay on the floor. He frowned, wondering when that had ever stopped him before. This is true! You break into my house at night! You break into my window! Well, you don't break in. You come up to my window in the middle of the night, and you've stayed in my room. This is not different. Did you really plan on going through with that? No. He hesitated a little, the silence stretching between you. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. You knew him well. The sleeping bag rustled again, and through the dim light you saw him stand and head towards the bed. Eee! He took a deep breath as he ran his hands across the top of the blanket, gathering his nerves as his eyes met yours. And then he paused, head tilted to the side as if silently asking permission. Yeah. He's so cute. You shuffled over to make room for him as he smiled, as he pulled the bedding up and crawled beneath the covers, leaving the two of you close together but not quite touching. He exhaled a heavy breath as he lay down on his side, his head getting comfy in the pillow next to yours. You had a strange feeling in your stomach, like it was doing little somersaults, but it felt good to have him close. He raised his fingers and delicately brushed the tips over your cheeks, drawing a shaky breath from your lips. Oh! His touch was warm and feather-light, making you feel tingly all over. When his eyes met yours again, you found yourself lost, and then the world became still and silent around you. Then he froze, his muscles tensing as he closed up like a clam, and his breath hitched in his throat. He attempted to whisper something, but it was completely lost on you. With that having to suffice as a warning, Cove jumped out of bed and crouched on the floor, his head held in his hands as he took a few deep, stuttering breaths. You bolted upright in the bed, staring down at him with a mixture of alarm and bemusement. Are you okay?
I'm always like
I
this.
thought it feel like it did before when we were younger, but it's different now. I'm sorry, little. I'm really sorry. I'm just so... He panted deeply in and out as though he had just finished running an entire marathon. Oh. After finally steadying his breath to a normal rhythm, he crawled back into his sleeping bag and huddled down on the floor, his back turned to you. Sorry. You understood, you were disappointed, you were amused. You were not pleased, it was kind of flattering. You felt embarrassed. That was Cove for you. He usually needed at least one trial run before he could take that kind of step forward. I'm just... I mean... Yeah, that's kind of... yeah. You can always try again another night. You don't need to apologize. Thank you for trying. I'm not surprised that this happened. He made a small noise, acknowledging that he had heard you, but said no more. With the event over, you laid back on the bed alone for the night. The next day dawned, bringing with it the sounds of birds chirping happily outside the window. I skipped it again. Keep hitting the button. You opened your eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the light, and tried to recall where you were, remembering the unfamiliar sight of Cove's second bedroom. You had woken up on your own. You reached over and turned off the alarm you had set. Just wake up. The early morning sun filtered into the blinds, telling you it was about time to get up out of bed and start getting ready for the day. The sound of Cove shuffling around the room drew your attention, though you weren't surprised he had always been a morning person. Sitting up in bed, you let out a yawn and stretched your arms above your head. You still felt pretty groggy. You felt okay. I am not a morning person. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm still, like, tired. You were used to sleeping in longer than this. The late night hadn't helped. It wasn't that late of a night. Unfortunately. The two of you were on completely different wavelengths right now. You pulled yourself out of bed, grabbing a fresh change of clothes and your toiletries before heading to the bathroom. After all that, you met Cove back in his room. He was sitting on the floor where you had entered, sorting through a bunch of stuff in a box, determining what to bring and what to leave behind. Hey.
Hey.
Can you pull out the stuff from those drawers? You nodded, though he hadn't even looked up from his task, so you knew he wouldn't have seen. Headed over to the drawers, you started the task of taking out various items and setting them on the ground in front of Cove. After a while, it became clear to you that Cove was acting strange. Whenever you went near him, he was flinching over your presence. Oh, sorry, baby. It happened a few more times before you couldn't take the awkwardness any longer. You dropped your stuff you were doing down in front of him and raised a questioning eyebrow. Everything okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry about last night again. He quietly squeaked the second part of his thought. About not staying in the bed with you. I know you try not to mind or be mad with me, but I wish I didn't have to make you accept me backtracking all the time. It's fine. It's really okay. It's kinda cute. Sorta. He swallowed thickly, struggling to find the right words to explain himself. I do think it felt nice, really. Really, it's just also not bad, but good in an inconvenient way. Baby. Sorry, baby.
I mean,
Lying together like that, being so close, it gets too hot, you know? His cheeks flushed with the color, and he immediately trailed off, his eyes firmly fixed on the floor. It's so cute. I get it. You will stay the whole night next time, right? It was that intense for you, huh? Maybe I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry to bother you. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's what I signed up for with you. Do better next time. Fuck off. Fuck off with this. Fuck off with fuck off with all of this statement. His eyes widened, a pink tinge creeping into his cheeks before he could duck his head enough to hide it. Just don't worry about it. You don't need to do anything. Let's get back to packing. With it more or less resolved, he went to grab some more items as Cove focused on the box in front of him once again. Hey, look at this. When you turned towards the sound of Cove's voice, you found him digging through one of the drawers beneath the bed.
Neat.
Here's something I definitely need to bring. Neat. Craning your head, you got a better glimpse of what he was holding. An old yellowing book. When he opened it up, there was a few dried pressed flowers between the pages. Those had been gifts you had given him for his mom's place. Something for him to remember you by to make his time here less lonely. He kept them the whole time. You don't have to hold on to those forever. I was only lending you those. I think I'll take them back now. It's adorable that you care so much for them. He sighed, glinting between you and the items in his hand. They bring back some good memories. A faint blush of color crept over his cheeks and he looked away quickly.
It's nice.
These are special. It was important having a piece of you with me when we were apart. He's so cute! Feel the same way, that's why I gave them to you. Cove smiled, pleased that the feeling was mutual, but then the expression became more amused. And did you keep the souvenirs I brought back? Of course. His grin grew to completion. Alright, who's the asshole that says no to that answer? Beyond the people who are like just 100% completing and just want to be curious about it, who the fuck is picking no? Another hour passed by in silence and you were happy to see you were making great progress with Cove's room, with only the closet left to sort through. You took a minute to take a mouthful of water from your bottle and perched on the edge of the bed feeling productive. Oh my God. That's true, he would. Yes, but he does do it for the memes. Right? Like, he does it to fuck around. Cove glanced over at you and paused, putting down the tape gun and he had been using to seal the boxes and raised an eyebrow. I feel like people... beyond memeing, I guess. Would anybody pick that? It's really strange to see you sitting in this room. He frowned a little, his eyes distant, his voice quiet when he spoke next. During the visits to Mom's, when I was sitting alone in this room, I'd sometimes think about how you weren't here. It was a weird feeling at the time that you just weren't around, and now that you are in this exact place, it's... I don't know how to explain the feeling. He shrugged it off and smiled a little as though he'd said enough already and didn't want to risk sounding silly. Life is pretty confusing. For a genuine... Yeah, well that's what I'm... Like, that's the... Right. Who for a gen... It's like not petting Cerberus. Right? Who the fuck is doing that? Evil people. People I do not trust. I'm pretty sure if people didn't like him for the game, they would have stopped before. This is true. I mean, you can also play the game, so you can play the game and, I don't know, be mean to him, I guess. You can. Sorta. It's weird, though. I didn't know you thought about me when you were away. It's true, life makes no sense. I missed you so much when you were gone. His brows crinkled as he looked at you solemnly, his eyes bright with emotion. I missed you too. It made you feel better to know that somehow, to know that when you were stuck at home missing his company, that he was missing yours too. He looked away satisfied, headed over to the closet. Very sleepy. The music is so relaxing, dude. I think it does stuff to, like, Make me sleepy. For long, every box, closet, and drawer had been thoroughly combed through, with the item either neatly packed in boxes or organized and returned to their proper place. With a sigh of relief, you glanced around the bedroom and the work you had done together.
All right.
We're done. Good job to us. I'm gonna change out of my PJs for the drive. Yeah. When the two of you headed out into the living room, ready to get everything finalized and hit the road, you found Kira in the kitchen pouring a cup of tea. Coffee. Cove headed towards her, leaning casually against the counter that divided the two spaces. Didn't have to get up so early. Are you crazy? Of course I have to see you off before you go. We can't sneak away while I'm out cold. How early did we wake up? Because we just spent like an hour sifting through that stuff at least. Because they said that. They said it was like an hour or two. Like, but the sun's up. So it has to be like 6 at least, right? So the sun was up when I woke up, 6. Roughly 2 hours. It's like 8 o'clock. That's like a normal time to wake up for most people. She beamed at him and in all honesty seemed more than happy to be up and getting ready for the day. You want some breakfast? I've got some muesli? Muesli? I'm not entirely sure what that is. Or eggs and toast. Oh, and some of that fruity cereal you used to love. That's okay, we should really eat on the road. Bullshit, I want some of Mama's food. Kira smiled sadly, a little disappointed, but she seemed to understand that your time was running thin. I thought you might say that. In that case, I've packed you some snacks for the road.
What do you think?
Even if you don't end up eating them, take it anyway, just in case. You can always feed them to Cliff when you get home and tell him I said hi. Cove laughed and shook his head, knowing his dad would love nothing more than to polish off whatever food Kira had prepared for them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. You really didn't have to. Thanks for the snacks. It's nice of you to organize this for us. It must be a mom thing to know stuff like that. Kira smiled before resting her gaze on Cove Farm. One of the many pleasures of being a parent. She returned your smile with one of her own. Goddamn, before putting her cup of tea aside. Well, I'll help you get to the car.
Sure.
Sure, thanks. The three of you got a move on, taking the boxes from Cove's bedroom and heading down to fill the back seat of the car until there was barely an inch of space left in the back of the truck. With all of you helping, it only took a few trips to move everything, and you were done before you knew it. Then it was truly time to say goodbye. You convened back inside the apartment where Kira looked over the two of you with a quiet smile. It was great to see you both. Thank you for coming. She gave each of you a hug, and you felt a little sad that you hadn't been able to spend more time with her. It was good to see you too. Cove embraced her in return, and the two of you holding on to each other for a few seconds. I'll miss you, but I'll visit again soon.
Of course.
Can I hug Mama? We should make plans for you to visit us too. I'll let you know when it's set up. I'd love to. Kira bundled all the stuff she prepared into a bag and handed them over to you. You took a quick peek at what she had packed. There was fruit, nuts, seeds, hard-boiled eggs, and some veggie sticks.
Cool.
Oh, good to see you've got some fresh food options now. The snacks I brought weren't. Kira shook her head at him and let out a soft sigh as though she wouldn't have expected anything else. I seriously hope you're feeding yourself better than that at home. Of course, just not on trips. I can live with that. She looked over him fondly, her eyes at last focusing on his face and filling with emotion. Going to miss you.
Me too.
Me too. Thanks for letting us come. We'll all be together again before you know it. He didn't know what to say. No problem at all. You're welcome anytime. Kira put an arm around you both, pulling you into it tight to her shoulders for one final squeeze.
Bye.
Have a safe trip. With a last goodbye, you exited the apartment, though Cove hesitated for a moment in the door, his expression distant. You weren't sure what he was doing, though you tentatively took a step towards him. Your voice seemed to bring him back to earth. He shook his head to clear his thoughts, his green hair swaying from side to side.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go. With that, the two of you headed back down to the car, ready to make a long trip home. Soon enough, you were in the wide open road with the car full of Cove's things and only one destination, Sunset Bird, California. The drive went as smoothly as could have expected, with the morning slowly creeping into midday as the miles flew by. The day flew by in a whirl of open road and sunshine, and before you knew it, it was early afternoon. By that point, you had already crossed the state line. Cove announced that he planned to a little stop on the way home. He was quite pleased with himself as you arrived at the precipice. The Redwood National Park. Shaded beneath the canopy of enormous redwood trees, you drove along. When Cove parked the car, you pushed the door to get out, and first thing you did was look up. Enormous redwood trees surrounded you on all sides, their massive trunks shooting straight into the canopy of foliage overhead. There were too many of them to count, stretching on and on as far as you could see. You squinted against the sunlight at that was peeking through the trees and dancing on the paths around you. Great, right? He smiled at you from over the roof of the car before glancing around the place fondly. Remember the trip our families took back that the one where the one we were just talking about, kind of, where we, snuck off to sleep next to each other and got caught? That trip? Yes, I do remember. It was cool going on a journey and seeing the forest in person, even if we didn't stay very long. And I guess we can stay for even less this time. Oh well. It just seemed like a good time to stop by. Who knows when we'll get another chance. His voice got a little softer at the end. Seemed to be bittersweet for him, being in the place he was so fond of, but not having the time to appreciate it fully. You were pleased to have stopped here. You felt pretty good about being here. Yeah. Thanks, boo. I was delivered tacos, which I'm not going to eat right now because they're very, very loud. Thanks for bringing me here. There will be chances in the future, I promise. Okay. It's better than taking a break at a gas station. I'll put up with you for the trees. Bo smiled, shoving his hands back in his pockets and dipping his head. The two of you walked around for a while, completely dwarfed by the sheer scale of the redwoods. It kind of put your view of yourself and everything in a strange perspective. You took a lungful of clean forest air, listening to the sounds of bird songs and the cool breeze rustling through the underbrush, taking advantage of the space to move around freely. However you felt about being here, it was a totally different scene than sitting in that old car for hours and hours. You wrapped an arm around Cove, you took Cove's hand, you felt Cove nudge your hand. Sure. He didn't pull away. He intertwined his fingers through yours, smiling at you as he relaxed into your touch and rubbed the back of your hand softly with his. Being here again, you couldn't help but reminisce on what else had happened during the trip and you had taken here long ago. There were a lot of things that had reminded you of it recently. Mischievous tweens is what they were. You looked over at Cove, who seemed to be lost in the piece of the place, and you wondered if any of it crossed his mind. Smiling at the sight, you thought back on what had been the highlight of that long-gone vacation. You know, we almost kissed on that RV trip. Elizabeth teased us mercilessly. Our families are so close. Remember how the bird stole your dad's love? Alright. Of course we're picking this one. Do you remember that? Cove snorted and covered his mouth with his hand, but you could still see the flush of pink on the tip of his nose. Yeah, I remember. I almost gave myself a concussion. It's still probably in top 10 most humiliating things I've ever done. I'm sorry, baby. He chuckled at the memory and how your parents had caught the two of you in the loft together after that. My parents didn't catch me. His parents did. I mean, I guess they did see it, but his parents were the ones who caught us. I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Don't worry about it.
Don't be, it was kind of funny. You continued chatting about the trip a little while longer after the things you had seen and done and even eaten. A lot of the memories Cove had of the trip were similar to your own, but you were also surprised to hear of a few other things from his point of view. So much had happened and there was no shortage of things to talk about. The place certainly had a nostalgic quality to it. Your spirits were light as you ambled past information boards and picnic areas. But before long, you decided it was time to bring this short stop to an end and head back to the car and get on the road again. Cove sighed when you finally reached the vehicle, jangling the keys in his hands before unlocking the doors.
Well,
I wish we didn't have to go, but we're going to be responsible and not stay longer when we should. How grown up of you. He smiled slightly, and with that, the two of you jumped into the car, buckled in, and he put it in drive. Ugh. You were getting closer and closer to town as the sun started setting, though they were still far enough away that the radio stations were unfamiliar to you. Oh, baby! Cove twisted the dial this way and that before stumbling into a channel with a song that he seemed to like. That was a rare gift from the Fates in a sea of static, strange radio jockeys and grating tunes. His face immediately brightened at the sound of it, and he drummed his fingers along at the bottom of the steering wheel happily. Sitting back in his seat, he bobbed his head along in time with the tune. You smiled, you chuckled softly, you shook your head, you sang along. You got the impression he was pleased to be heading back home after everything. The song ended and Cove reached over to start cycling through the radio stations again. Upon finding nothing tolerable, he flipped the dial off in defeat and leaned back in his seat with a sigh. You rested your head on your hand and stared out the window as the sky darkened, watching the landscape slowly melt into familiar views. The smiles went on, and any energy you had earlier was beginning to drain away. You imagined home and your family. You'd be there together soon. You know, I've spent all these years living in Sunset Bird and taking a few weeks each summer visiting my mom in that second room. That's not gonna happen anymore, not really. I can still see my parents, but the way it all works between us has changed forever. He paused, the silence stretching, a serious look settling on his face, his thoughts far away. I'm excited to be on the brink of real adulthood. Ew, no. I'm worried about how things will be in the future. I feel the same about my parents too. You should lighten up. I know they'll always be there for me, but we don't really have the same relationship we used to. Yeah, because it's not a dependent relationship anymore. Hello. Yes, I love this game, and the greatest downfall is that Cove is not a real person. It's a shame. Cove stared straight ahead, down the long, long road. The path looked like it'd never end from where you were, but that wasn't true. Eventually, he found a few words to say.
I'm so glad.
I think it's good we were able to do this trip without any parents or chaperones. It was just us. We did it all. I don't know, I feel a little more independent now, a little more ready for what's ahead. I felt ready for a while now, I'm not sure if I'll be ready. It's like a real first step to be on our own all the time. It'll be here before we know it. The topic seemed to wear on Cove, and he made an attempt to find something else to speak on. So, I'm kind of sad about getting back. I'm gonna miss having you right there tonight. Oh? You can always just sneak into my room. Like you always do. He cleared his throat quietly, though said nothing more. You smiled to yourself and let a little at hearing him say something like that out loud. I'm gonna miss it too. And with the feeling confirmed as mutual, the two of you fell into a comfortable silence. The sky outside grew even darker as the hours passed by. The stars blinked on with tiny fireflies painted into the canvas of blue. The scenery continued transitioning between open roads, industrial areas, and beach towns, becoming increasingly recognizable as time went on. You felt somewhat disconnected from the world around you as you watched it through your window, your tired mind growing hazy. It was a strange, reflective feeling, but peaceful nonetheless. Soon enough, the world would return to you, and you'd find your feet firmly on the ground. It couldn't be helped. The adventure would end, life would continue, and your memories would linger on. Eat, so cute. Alright. Give me just a second to get hot sauce, a drink, and work on some of these tacos. I'll be right back. We're gonna finish up this last bit. I might, depending on how long it is, I might also try to finish out Summer, but I'm not so sure. Alright, give me just a little bit. I am alive. Okay. I might put auto back on so I can like take a short break from like talking a little bit, because I am not so good at the talking thing and it's starting to hurt. I'll still try and get most of them, but I am also eating my tacos. Alright, this is new on DLC. Haven't done this one yet. The day and the week were nearing the end, and you were welcoming it in your own way by laying sprawled out on your bed. You rolled onto your side. Outside, the last lit-up window across the street blinked out, leaving the buildings on the block faceless silhouettes against the Blue-black sky dotting the stars. Or dotted by the stars. Maggie. Your phone came to life on the nightstand, a pale light cast on the ceiling of your room. Without looking, you threw your arm out behind yourself, groping around the tabletop until your phone was under your palm. At that point, you lifted your face, snorting when you saw the familiar name attached to the short message just reading, "Hey." Cove wasn't much for sleeping now either. As you made a reply, though, more and more texts came through in quick succession. There are things you and I do and we like. Okay? Okay. You propped yourself up on one elbow, sitting upright against the headboard so you could text more comfortably. We'll wait and see where he's going with this. You felt faintly curious about what he was leading up to. I'm free for a while? How late is it? Got nothing planned for the next few days. I think he means now. Despite the conversation being text alone. That's cute. You were left to keep track of the passing seconds of the raising and falling and crying of crickets outside. He's climbing over to my window or something right now. When the screen darkened from inactivity, you wondered if you should do something yourself. Just wait for him. He clearly has some kind of plan going on. You wouldn't be able to see him, but it would be hard to miss the telltale sign of an incoming message. Even if it took a while, you were willing to wait. Where the fuck is this going? Something we haven't ever done together. Ugh. The streets outside your window looked different at night, but you knew that if you were to wander out, there'd be no chance of you losing your way. There wasn't a single inch of your neighborhood that you didn't know by heart. Thank you for the follow! And everywhere you looked, from the grassy hill behind your house to the shops at the beach, you could recall the time you'd been there with Cove, mostly just chatting as you walked together. Hi! You didn't mind everyday things like that, but as for something new or unexpected... I love that. What did you have in mind? I'm pretty good. some things. One by one, Cove began presenting his ideas, starting off with attending a play. Oh, he has different ideas. We've watched TV together and movies, but real people performing in front of us. We've never done that. I'm not sure what plays exactly are on right now, but that adds to the unexpected factor. There was a slight pause before Cove moved into the next plan, visiting an— Oh, that one! I want to do that one. I like that one. It makes sense, right? We go to the beach and stuff. It's pretty close to the water. We'll look at water in a whole new way. That's where I took my boyfriend for his birthday, an aquarium. The third and last idea was the one that was the most out of the blue. Ice skate. In summer? Where? Cove was putting it the polar opposite that the two of you normally did. Right in with the options as something you had never done together. Let's see, if hypothetically someone wanted to surprise you with an unexpected outing, would that be okay? Yes. You couldn't help but smile fondly at that, wondering to yourself who that someone could be. You said it would be perfect if that somehow happened. You joked that it wasn't much of a surprise. You said doing anything with him was good. Colin paused that you caught him off guard. Ears temporarily left without anything to say. He's so cute. Could you still pick a favorite? You heard that in recent years the aquarium had been making efforts towards conservation programs. It seemed like a perfect, obvious fit for Cove. Also for me, because I like them. I like aquariums. Plays are kind of fun, but they can be really dull because you just kind of go and sit there. Don't think too hard about this talk. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. You're making me laugh with this. I sure hope it means something. Uh-huh, sure. I promise not to try and figure it out. I'm waking up everyone. I don't know why I'm not saying anything funny. Good night. With that final set off, you put your phone to sleep and lowered it with a sigh. You had no idea when Cove was going to invite you to the aquarium, but your mind was buzzing with all the possibilities in the coming days might bring. One hand thrown to the side and the other shoved under your pillow. True. Somewhere between this day and the next, you finally found yourself asleep. Ready to tackle the day when you heard the ringing of the doorbell. Should we be surprised by our doorbell ringing just all the time? I mean, assuming Cove doesn't just burst in. Then again, you weren't even sure if anyone else was around, judging by the lack of footsteps you were hearing. You raced back downstairs to answer the door and you pulled it open and saw who it was, only further confused. But the moment he saw you, shy grins spread across his face. He raised one hand and gave you a little wave. Surprise! Don't you normally use the window? You found it funny how he had grown so used to hearing him tap on the glass pane that showing up at your front door was what it took to get a reaction. Cove turned his head to the side with a considering lift of his eyebrows. I guess I do, but not today. I got you something. Mm-hmm. He slid his hand out from behind his back, holding it up in front of your face. As he offered the present to you, your eyes widened when you saw what it was. Oh! You hadn't expected a gift at all, let alone something as thoughtful as this. Oh, it's so cute! Thank you! He took a step towards you so close you could see the sunlight shining through some flyaway strands of hair on the top of his head. Hello? There was a quiet little tremor in his voice when he spoke again. Surprise again, do you like it? Why are we doing surprising things? Why is this the theme? Yes, it's my favorite. Nope. You remember? He nodded in reply, smiling at you affectionately. It's so cute! Cove averted his eyes with a nervous glance downwards. His gaze landed on the flower. Cove laughed to himself and thought suddenly coming to him. My dad would be proud of me for doing this all on my own. Oh yeah, because when we were 13, he made you pick a gift. Suddenly Cove raised his head, his eyes finding yours and startling you into stillness. Cove's question came softly, his voice lingering on some of the words as his shyness got the better of him. He's gonna, ask me on a date. Little, would you go on a date with me today? I was thinking maybe we could go to the aquarium. He's so cute! He inclined his head at you with a crooked smile. I had a feeling that might be a nice place to invite you to. Oh, that's so cute. That's adorable. He huffed a sigh of relief, his lips spreading into a wide, cheery smile. Alright, we're gonna do it. With his big question asked and accepted, Cove raised his gift towards you again, gesturing with his other hand for you to receive it officially. You carefully took it from him. So cute. I'll put this somewhere safe and then we can go. I'll get my car ready, meet me there. Whatever you say, baby. As soon as the door clicked shut, you dashed upstairs to your room, prepping a Spot first for Cove's gift. Then, satisfied with your efforts, you grabbed your bag, tossing in whatever else you thought you'd need for the outing before heading back outside. Cove's old car was parked right in front of the house. You went straight in, hopping into the shotgun seat. Girlfriend privileges, so I always get shotgun. As you buckled yourself in, Cove leaned forward and watched you with an eager expression, his fingers tapping on the dashboard to a lively sort of rhythm. He was ready to start, but trying to tone it down so you wouldn't feel rushed. I'm glad we're doing this together. Eee! Aquariums are cool. Once your seatbelt was secured, Cove checked his mirrors to make sure the street was clear before pulling away from the curb, and like that, the two of you began your trip. This would be fun to do all of them in. I guess there's like different scenarios for each of them. You settled in fully for the trip out to the aquarium in the city. It would be a bit of a drive, but you didn't mind. You made an attempt to start a conversation. It's kind of funny we've never done this before now. Why haven't we? Gone to the aquarium or gone on a date? Probably because I've never thought about going to the aquarium with anyone before this. Wait, seriously, you've never gone to an aquarium ever? Yep, that's right, never. And not just this specific one either. I haven't been to an aquarium, period. Some are better than others. Wow. This might be brand new for Cove, but you've been to this aquarium before. That made two of you. I'm sure I've been here before. You had more experience with aquariums than Cove Holden. That simply sounded wrong. And I asked why not. I figured you'd be begging to go. Cove tapped the tips of his finger against the steering wheel, his face scrunched in contemplation. When I was growing up, my dad did try to take me. I'd never been before because I was so little. I said no. Whenever he'd try to talk about it, I'd tell my dad I'd rather go to the actual beach on my own. Or he could at least take me to the fish part of the pet store, but not the aquarium. Eventually, he didn't ask about it anymore. He must have figured I had something against it. When he stopped mentioning the aquarium, I stopped thinking about it. It just never came back to my mind. His expression shifted to one of bemused confusion. The thing is, I don't know what I had against it, if I did have a problem. Kid logic. Maybe I didn't like the idea of seeing water I wasn't allowed to go in, or meet fish I could never bring home. This sounds like the kind of thing little me might have gotten upset over. Or maybe I just wasn't okay with doing the new kind of trip. It'd be to someplace new, and with only my dad, Mom wouldn't be there anymore. I guess that might have made it seem not worth doing right off the bat. That's 8-year-old me for you. Cove shook his head with a pained smile, then his tone dropped to a distant whisper. It was only when thinking about stuff I could do with you that I finally remembered I could go to an aquarium. Oh. He pulled his mouth into a bent smile and straightened his shoulders. He didn't want to bring the mood down. It all worked out in the end because I got really surprised I got to really surprise you with the news. Yeah, you totally got me. I'm flattered you're letting me be there for your first time at the aquarium. You're welcome. They're so cute. The conversation continued with idle chatter about what you do when you got there. You arrived at your destination. You look at fish while you're there, by the way. That's all you do. I mean, I guess it depends on the aquarium, but usually you just walk around and watch the fish. Cove's head swiveled around to let his curious eyes take in every view, and you weren't even inside yet. You could see the realization of what he'd been missing out on dawn on him in real time. Cove bounced on the balls of his feet. The two of you stood in line to get tickets. His excitement continued to build. You could hear Cove quietly gasp from your side. He briskly took some large strides to get further into the room, to get closer to the glass barrier. There he stood still. Yeah, you get to just chill and watch fish. There's something really nice about it. After taking a moment for himself, he whipped around to look at you. Cove was outright vibrating with excitement. Oh, I'm glad I picked this one. His mouth opened in a large smile, but all that came out was tiny, squeaking giggles. It bubbled over into full-on giddy laughter before he was able to speak in earnest. Each word was full of joy. It's amazing. I love it here. There's a fucking whale shark in the background. Of course you do. I'm really glad. This is going to be a tiring day, but it's good. I'm glad he likes it. He cheered back without hesitation. He's like a little kid. The aquarium is great. He wasted no time before rushing around the place. You don't have to rush. You can chill. Cove was enthralled by each new sight, his eyes alight with a kid in a candy store. A perpetual smile made its home on his face. Aww. He viewed all the tanks, from his tallest of heights to the tippy toes, as well as crouching as low. Oh. He's so cute! Your exuberance was just as bright as his, buoyed further by how happy you were that he had found such happiness. You beamed. Yee! You had arrived back at the original viewing room. It was a good spot for a break. Yeah, you don't have to rush. You can usually just casually walk through these. Cove stood quietly near the tank, in almost the same spot as he had when he first took in the view. Somehow that moment already felt like a long time ago. Walked up to stand by him, taking in the same otherworldly experience of having the sea right in front of you. But his bright red face reflected clearly on the floor to ceiling glass pane separating aquarium goers from the water. Nothing had happened, then realization came. This was Cove. He was flustered because he was thinking about doing something. Oh, yep. Cove always got that way when he was mentally building himself up. You nodded to yourself and elected to keep your lips zipped You wanted to give him a chance to do whatever it was he had cooking. So there's a lot of fish in here, huh? His mouth clamped shut after those vague, stuttered words. You could feel the tension growing. After a breathless pause, he spoke again. You know, if you were a fish... a paradise fish, because being with you is like being... Oh, pressed his forehead against the glass, with his eyes wide and gazed down as he fervently refused to even peek at what reaction you might be giving. Oh my god. Feeling unparalleled embarrassment. You smiled adoringly while watching him. You burst into laughter. You covered your face with your hands bashfully. He was too cute. It was unreal. What a dork. You had plenty of fish name knowledge up your sleeve to use for this too. Oh, do I? I don't. Because I don't, like me. Who bashfully shrunk into himself with a sweet smile. Even though you had only managed to direct his own words back at him, it was still highly impactful. Thanks. After that, Cove wanted to go around the aquarium again. He hoped to let it all sink in at a more leisurely pace while you were here. Plus, he desperately wanted more time to settle down. Okay. It took no time at all to become absorbed in the incredible sea life once... Dude, you can just like pick an enclosure for the most part and just hang out there and watch them. After only having eyes for the fish for quite some time.
Hey.
Would it be alright to ask why you chose this place? What made it the favorite out of everything? It doesn't matter why, I'm just curious. His brow dipped. He was touched you cared to make it a good time together, though you weren't sure why he didn't expect it. That's nice of you. It was nice of you to ask me out. And probably pay like the $50 entrance fee. I guess it was. You think about me a lot, huh? And I repeat, you do the same for me. He reached over to take your hand in his without a word, and you returned the grip without hesitation. You exchanged mutual goofy grins, two softies trying to make the other happy. There wasn't nearly enough time in a single day to satisfy Cove's desire to exist inside the aquarium, but the day did have an end eventually. Despite obviously wanting to linger longer, Cove left the building with a skip in his step and had been a good trip. You shut the door of Cove's car behind you as you took your usual seats. The clicking of seatbelts punctuated the end of the adventure. I would absolutely do that again. Oh, I think it's stuck. Cove chuckled as he pulled the car out from the parking spot, spirits still as high as ever. A ways into the drive, Cove glanced towards your direction. You stretched your arms as you shifted in the seat, waiting patiently for him to say what was on his mind. So I know this was unexpected, but thanks for coming along. Yeah, it really was. It was fun, but still the worst attempt at a surprise ever. Thank you for going to the trouble of making plans. Any date with you is a good one. You're welcome. It was no trouble at all. He spoke with a quiet confidence. He felt good about your reaction. The drive continued in comfortable silence. Cove wore a content expression on his face that warmed your heart. Doing things like this with Cove, he made you happy. Your heart skipped a beat thinking about how mutual the feelings seemed to be. Watching the passing scenery out the window, you relaxed into the seat. The time sped by. It wasn't too long before Cove pulled into his driveway. Sighing happily, you got out of the car while Cove came around to where you were standing. He stood there a moment, rolling a pebble under his shoe. I'll see you tomorrow? Definitely.
Thanks.
After that, you and Cove parted ways for the rest of the day. Even when you fell back into your normal routine, your mind refused to stop buzzing with the memory of your little adventure. As you crawled into bed and closed your eyes, you were back in the best parts of the day. You hoped Cove's surprise would continue just a bit longer and continue in your dreams. Oh god, we are flying through the time. After breakfast the next morning, you were sitting with your moms and Liz. While you were mildly listening to the conversation, the side of your face squished into the palm of your hand, the doorbell rang. Oh, I'll get it. Mom passed by you to the front door, your eyes lazily followed her, then you turned your attention to Ma and Liz. They were still lightheartedly chatting and you weren't sure what about. Your focus snapped back when your name was called from across the room. Hey Little, you have a guest. Why don't they just say your boyfriend's here or Cove's here? On your way to the front door, Mom gave your shoulder a pat as she returned to the living room. When she moved by, you saw who was at the door. It was Cove. Again, a smile stretched out across his face the moment your eyes met.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Instantly, you looked over your shoulder to see Ma several feet away, but within eyeshot of the door, she waved. When you faced Cove again, he was looking at the ground shyly. It reminded you of the last time you had seen him the night before. That was all the push you needed to step outside, closing the door behind you for some privacy. Hi, what's going on? What do you have up your sleeve today? You're coming to the door all the time. It's starting to get weird. Crossing your arms, you leaned your back against the door. You already had a good feeling about where this was going. When Cove chuckled awkwardly, he didn't meet your eyes as he pulled out another gift from behind his back. Surprise, wanna go ice skating with me? Is he doing all of them? Are these just like a list of things Cove hasn't done? What? You blinked and then switched to staring at him in bewilderment. Cove's eyes narrowed conspiratorially. The real surprise was that I'm going to invite you to all three places. You never had to choose only one. I just needed to make sure that they didn't sound completely terrible. The longer Cove spoke, the quieter his voice became. He shyly scratched at the side of his cheek. And to check if you'd be free, so surprise again. His face grew red with a blush. Slyly, Cove looked away from you. Oh, do you like what I got you? He nudged the present in his hands toward you, hoping you'd take it. Until now, you hadn't completely registered it. It was a carefully chosen star map. Oh, that's cute. I do like it. I love it. You're so thoughtful. We definitely are really full of surprises. Cove's mouth pulled into a beaming smile that reached his eyes. Chuckling, you took the gift. I'm really glad you liked it. Are you going to accept the other part too? Yeah, let's go ice skating. It'll be fun. Cove bounced a bit on the toes of his feet as he leaned over to kiss you. It was light, but you could feel his smile pressing into you with every bit of happiness radiating off of him. It's so cute! Thanks for coming. I'll be in the car. You can go get ready. So this one is going to be a tiny bit longer if we're doing like all three of the options. You sped back inside and spotted your family still sitting around the table. They all turned and smiled at you. So what's the plan for today? I'm going to the ice rink with Cove. That sounds so fun. Miles' smile beamed. Your gaze slid over to Liz, and she also looked happy for you.
Have fun.
I hope you have a great time. It didn't take long for you to get ready and dash out the front door. Cove was waiting for you as promised, and you both set out for day 2 of his surprise outings, and this time it actually was a surprise. Now that you were sitting down for the drive, it felt like a good moment to regain your bearings. You shrugged your pack into your lap and began thumbing through your things to make sure that in a hurry you hadn't forgotten anything important. You were dressed more warmly to hopefully be prepared for the trip. You were dressed normally, but packed some extra layers just in case you were dressed normally and didn't bring extra layers. With the jacket stuffed into your bag had taken on a lopsided sort of bulk, awkward to carry around. You zipped it closed again and Cove began to speak, raising his voice to be heard over the ambient noise of the car ride. So, ice skating, this is gonna be crazy. Having fun with water. That's frozen, unheard of. These are all just things he hasn't done, has he? He chuckled at his own joke and you shook your head at him, though couldn't help grinning at his silly comment. Who knows, maybe in colder places it's the opposite. That's weird. As you looked at him, you caught a glimpse of the back seat. It was empty, which wouldn't be strange any other day. You didn't bring a jacket. Nope. You know I hate extra layers, and there aren't any parents around to force me to do it now. You scolded him for not preparing what you were doing. You're probably gonna regret that once we get there. I like that you don't wear a lot of layers That drew a nervous little giggle from Cove, who readjusted his grip on the steering wheel. He doggedly kept his eyes straight ahead, but you could see the blush sneaking across his face. You laid your arm against the window, the scenery outside passing by in a blur until finally you arrived at the ice skating rink. The two of you grabbed your things and got out of the car, a wave of heat so thick it felt like you were swimming in it. It hit you as soon as you set foot into the sun-hot asphalt of the parking lot. Cove fell into step next to you, dragging the back of his arm across his face. You and Cove exchanged looks. Well, here we are. The skating rink was a large building of glass and concrete, with its name plastered in simple white letters above the entrance. The nondescript flat roof style architecture reminded you a bit of the local mall. You went in. As the door slid shut behind you, you heard Cove's sharp intake of breath. You glanced over at him, seeing the stunned look on his face, his lips drawn into a tight frown. It's really cold. Boy! You were equally amazed how cold it was. Are you gonna be okay? Well, you dork, of course it's cold. I guess you'll have to change your name for... Are you gonna be okay? Cove bobbed his head up and down, wrapping his arms around himself. It's fine. I'm fine. We're still gonna have fun. Don't worry about it. He gave you a smile that was probably meant to reassure you, but it wasn't very convincing when he was speaking through chattering teeth. How about you? How are you feeling? I'm fine. The cold doesn't bother me, especially once you actually get ice skating. It doesn't, affect you. You warm up really fast. There was no denying that the building was chilly, but it was a refreshing change compared to the sweltering heat of the parking lot. That's good. Your neighbor shuddered dramatically, almost retracting his head into his shirt in his renewed effort to keep warm. You held on to him, keep him warm. You shrugged. Tough luck for him. You took a step towards him and wrapped him up in what you hoped would eventually become a warm embrace. For a second, his body went even more rigid, but he quickly relaxed and gave you a self-conscious smile.
Thank you.
His shy chuckle shook through his abdomen. He felt it on the side of your body right before he put his arm around your waist and pressed you close, an unspoken sign that he had no problem with it. Like this, the two of you ambled over to the rental counter together, a slightly awkward process that had you unsure if you were going forward or sideways. The clerk ended up giving you two funny looks over the top of her glasses as you went through the process of paying for admission and finding skates in your shoe size. But throughout it all, Cove didn't shiver once. Eventually, you had your skates. It was particularly well-worn set. Still sturdy, but it had once been blue, it was now faded, and where it had once been white, it was now closer to tan. With some time and a low bench, you both set up with the rented shoes and now stood by the opening of the rink. It was an oblong shape surrounded by a panel wall of rails. Yep. You were a little amused to see that there were other people dressed in t-shirts and shorts, and you turned to Cove to point it out. The answering laugh that came sounded a little distracted.
Well,
Oh, here I go. Tentatively, you took one step out onto the ice. The series of movements that followed were reminiscent of a jacket in the box swinging back and forth on its spring. You thought you might laugh, but it died in your throat when for one heart-lurching second, Cove's upper body tipped forward at a 90-degree angle. Baby, no! His hand shot out, slapping against the ledge running along the plexiglass panels on the side of the rink. A relieved sigh left both him and you. He was mumbling something to himself as he craned his head back. He must have caught the alarm on your face because he gave you a smile as shaky as his footing. I'll make it. Oh no. You'd never been ice skating before this either. It was fun to see Cove's first time trying, but you've done this before without him. I have. You came forward to join him and you flew out onto the ice easily. You did just fine. You were a little shaky, but you managed to catch yourself. You barely moved a foot before needing to grab the side. On wobbly legs, you somehow made your way over to Cove. He looked at you with an understanding smile. We'll both work on it? It's kind of amazing. We're seriously ice skating right now, but this is what we decided to do. I should stop being surprised over everything. Let's skate. Right, let's do it. The two of you developed a cautious rhythm, drawing long, slow circles around the edge of the rink side by side. Neither of you were experts. In fact, it was hard to tell who was worse. There were no complaints from either party when the pace was kept slow or even stopped entirely whenever one of you needed to grab onto the edge again. Despite how ungraceful of a pair you were, it was fun. White puffs of air released from you and Cove as you laughed and cheered with each other. The smallest achievement. There were also still plenty of moments spent clinging onto each other for added warmth against the unrelenting chill of the space. The hours slid right past you, and just like that, it was suddenly time to call it a day. After returning the borrowed skates, Cove and you ventured back out into the California air. Even though the sun was almost behind the horizon, it was still probably warmer than inside the rink. Cove rushed over to his car, his shivering hand clenching yours. You let him pull you forward in his mad dash to the vehicle. Doors were opened and closed, seats were taken, and engine switched on. The heat turned to max. Ew, oh god. Cove, it's so hot. At that, Cove finally relaxed. Your foray into the freezing cold had ended, and nicely it. The car ride home went by far too fast. You and Cove were in good spirits and spent the ride chatting and laughing, bouncing around various topics. But you didn't ask the question that sat all day in the back of your mind: why was Cove doing all of this in the first place? Again, you both parted ways for the night in the neighborhood street. You watched Cove head inside with a quick wave. You were halfway to your own house when a familiar voice called out to you. Turning on your heels, you spotted Mr. Holden lightly jogging over to you. Hey, how are you? I'm good. Are you... What's the plan here? Great, I was just getting home from work. What are you up to? Or rather, what were you up to today? Me and Cove went ice skating. You did, huh? Sounds fun. It was fun. It was also a surprise, which is weird since usually me and Cove not hanging out would be what sounds surprising. Crossing your arms, you gave a quick laugh. Cove Holden frowned. He rubbed the back of his neck and studied you for several silent moments. Right, so little, what's going on here? Something is going on, isn't it? Wait, what makes you ask? There's not a problem, right? I'll answer your question if you answer mine. Deal? You rolled a pebble under your shoe. Mr. Holden was probably the only person who could give you any solid insight on what Cove was doing. Alright, deal. We're just gossiping with each other. We're both in the know. The truth is, Cove's been doing a lot for me lately, way more than usual. For 2 days in a row, he's planning special dates and gifts too. I don't know why. Cove's father nodded contemplatively. He accepted the situation easily. That actually makes a lot of sense considering... Hey, is this something secret you shouldn't be sharing? Considering what? Feeling some tenseness, your teeth sank into your bottom lip. On the other hand, Mr. Holden chuckled. If it's supposed to be a secret, Cove's been awful at hiding it. He's doing it out in the open, so I don't think that's what he cares about. Your head tilted just a bit to the side as you watched Mr. Holden. You were honestly curious of what his side to this was. As long as it was alright to hear, you wanted to know. There was a pause. He was unsure of what to say next, or how to phrase it at least. Honestly, I've been a little bit worried about Cove lately. He's gotten really up in his head about something. But it's not exactly a bad thing. It's tough to know how to even bring it up. I'm not sure if I should try to have a talk about it. The longer he spoke, the wider your eyes grew with concern. There was more happening than a few meaningless hangouts. It's okay. He raised his hands in a calming motion when he noticed your reaction. Let me explain. I noticed Cove's been getting lost in thought more often recently, and he sometimes has his laptop out in the living room. What the fuck? He leaves it laying around on the couch and puts it on the coffee table. I have a clear view of it from there, and I can obviously see him looking stuff up on it. Cove keeps searching one phrase and different wordings of it too, then he'll spend ages clicking through the linked results. The line is, how do you make somebody happy? Just that again and again. Oh! Cove! You had to consciously close your mouth after that. You didn't know what to even say after hearing that revelation. Mr. Holden gently beamed. Isn't he such a good kid? He continued, but his tone was rueful. Unfortunately, I can relate all too well to that conundrum. Who am I to judge, right? Mr. Holden shrugged in an exaggerated way to lighten the mood back up. Before, I was thinking Cove might have gotten into a fight with somebody, and now it sounded like I was way off the mark. More clearly, Cove clearly has other plans on the brain. I'm even more confused on whether this is something I should get into or not. You know, actually, I was wondering if you could have a little chat with him about what's going on. It sounds like you're at the core of Cove's sudden study sessions, so he might feel more at ease talking about it, or more embarrassed, but he'd still probably do it. I would really appreciate it. Your gaze trailed over to the Holden residence. Mr. Holden made a very good point, you had to admit. I'll do it. Thanks. You're also a really good kid. You shook your head with a smile and started to walk towards where Cove went. After a few steps, you realized that Mr. Holden wasn't following, and you glanced back at him. We're gonna hang out here for a bit. Make sure you have some space to talk without a parent in the way. The door is probably unlocked, so go right in. But you hesitated for a moment. Mr. Holden's smile faded. Thanks for talking with me. This has been on my mind too, and I think it'll be good to ask Cove if everything's okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Holden grew much happier when he was a few moments ago, feeling ready. You turned right around and went into the house. Hey, Cove was sitting on the couch with his aforementioned laptop open. He peeked up at you with a puzzled look, and then it melted into a smile. I thought you were my dad. Did you forget something? No. I hope you're not too disappointed. It's just me instead of your dad. Your father and I, we were actually just talking a minute ago. What are you doing with your laptop? As your teasing words sank in, you watched a smirk grow across his face and crossed your arms in a grin.
No way.
No way. Why are you here? Cautiously, you asked Cove about his searching. Lightheartedly, you asked Cove about his searching. Don't panic, but can we talk about something? Cove's eyes widened, fighting the urge to immediately panic at your seriousness. But he nodded. You tried to smile reassuringly. You could tell he wasn't convinced at first. It's not a problem, I swear. Okay. Cove closed his laptop and laid it on the couch cushion next to him. He got up, shuffled past the coffee table, and stopped right in front of you. He spoke in a hushed tone, only hearable because of the new closeness. Are you alright? Yeah, I was wondering, well, if everything was alright with you. You've been making these big plans out of nowhere, and your dad mentioned that you've been kind of distracted lately. I wanted to know, why have you been looking into how to make someone happy? Oh, he noticed that? Are you mad? No, I guess I really was distracted. I didn't think people around would actually be paying attention or taking note of this. Cove, will you tell me why you felt like doing that so much? Cove looked at you with large, earnest eyes. I did it because I want you to be happy. Stuttered out another laugh, and the tension in his shoulders eased. Thank you for thinking that, for telling me, I don't know. He was completely frazzled on what to say. His rambling put a grin on your face. His gaze fell to the floor, and he defaulted to rubbing at his arm.
Sorry.
I wasn't trying to make you or Dad concerned. I didn't want to upset anyone. Sorry. Don't worry, no one's upset. Cove took a deep breath, and you could see his expression lighten, but he still was lost in thought. What made you start doing this now of all times? I don't know. With a deep frown, Cove looked back at you and repeated the phrase. Each time the inflection was different, like he intended to say something different but was coming up with the same non-reply. I don't know. I don't know anything. He ran his hand through his hair, trying to understand his own motivations. I guess maybe with everything that's been happening and everything that's coming soon, it's just kind of hit me that we're neighbors. A quick snort of air came out of your nose from his conclusion. Yeah? I mean, we've lived right across the street from me for 10 years, and only other kid who grew up with this whole neighborhood is your older sister. His weak smile bent. And then there's our parents. They sure were putting in the effort for the two of us to get to know each other. My dad literally paid you to be my friend. Cove shook his head with a laugh. His gaze was far away as he nostalgically reflected on the history you had. Basically, Everything in our lives was set up for us to be together. It was always effortless. I guess so. And why not? It practically went without saying that we'd be around each other, but it won't be like that forever. Our parents can't always be there to arrange things. We can't live in a little world of the street forever. Do I even know how to make it work when I don't have every advantage possible? I've made you happy in the past, but could I keep doing it? What even is it that I do that makes you happy? Cove started to run a hand through his hair again, but he stopped partway through. He looked at you earnestly. It was like breathing. When you're just going through life, you do what you're doing without even thinking. And then something reminds you that you're breathing and you become way more conscious of it. Huh, that's fair. Being with you is the same. I do what I normally do without pondering deeply on it, but now that all of the stuff made me start thinking about it, then I couldn't stop thinking about it. Cove sighed and stood up straighter, his eyes watching you softly, and you felt this surge of warmth in your chest. Little, I love you. I felt like I needed to try harder, to make an effort for you, for the relationship we had. I had to, and, well, that's what I did. Cove scratched the back of his neck. He looked sheepish now. It seemed like a good idea in my head. It made complete sense, but maybe it was dumb. It wasn't dumb. You punched his arm affectionately. You threw your arms around him and hugged. You kissed him. You started to kiss the boy. You closed the difference between you both. You laid a hand on his chest and tilted your chin up and pulled him lower. Cove easily moved with you, placing his hands on your hips, and you both melted into the kiss. Stepping back, you took a deep breath. Cove shifted how he was standing and watched you bashfully. Cove, you will always make me happy. You don't have to worry about any of that. I love you too. You're so precious, you big moron. This is me. This is what I say to my boyfriend. You know you're okay to tell me when you're feeling like this, right? An adoring smile grew on your face as you could see the words sink in. You hoped he understood the depth of your emotion. You make me happy every day. I care about you. I should be thanking you for everything you've done. Thank you. There was a pause where neither of you were certain who was going to speak next. Cove sniffs.
Wow.
Thank you, Little. Thanks for looking out for me. Even when I didn't even notice I was doing something worth checking in on, you're amazing. Aww. You're welcome. After your conversation with Mr. Holden, you really weren't sure what to expect. You breathed a happy sigh of relief now that things were a million times better. Cove chuckled. Now that everything was out in the open, his words were lighter. I gotta thank my dad, too. I can always count on him to be around. I have such good people in my life. He smiled softly. Cove withdrew a bit, looking shy. Can I still show up tomorrow and invite you on the last surprise outing? That'd be just fine. I'm looking forward to it. You knew that you were smiling like an idiot, but honestly, you didn't mind that too much. Spending time with Cove was the easiest thing to you, and the feeling was mutual. Cove watched you with earnest eyes. He simply wanted to spend time having fun with you. I can't wait. Cove leaned down so he could kiss you, and your lips parted. You saw that his were curled into a smile. He wrapped his arms around you and tucked you in close. You're really nice. Your lips gladly met his once more. Cove smelled good. Looked like a heaty mixture of fresh citrus and sea breeze. Aww. You'd mutually ensnared each other with the kiss, unwilling to let it end, until Cove abruptly glanced around as if he was seeing the location for the first time. He ducked his head bashfully, peering at you out of the corner of his eyes. Kind of in the middle of the living room. He mumbled the words, his grip on you tightening. My dad might come in soon, but, you know, my room is right over— Oh! So maybe we could go there if you wanted to? Oh, okay. Cove's face was verging on crimson as he shook your hand, or took your hand. Smiling, you gripped his hand tightly. Together, you hurried down the hall to his room. You were the one who opened the door as you both pushed through as one. Cove smoothly closed the door after him, using the heel of his foot, not allowing his hand or attention to be diverted from you for even a moment. He took you into his arms fully, holding you to his chest. You inhaled another waft of his invigorating fragrance as you stared into his open, eager eyes. Jesus Christ. It's so fucking cute. Ah! Ah! Oh! Oh! Oh my god. Ah! Ah! Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh no. Is it gonna let me do all of them again? Please, please let me do all of them again. It's so fun. It's so cute! Oh, ah. I can't decide. I'm so afraid they're only gonna let me pick like 3 or something. Okay. Hold on. My friends complained when they missed this last time. So I'm gonna wait just a second for them to show up. Give me just 1 second. I don't know. Okay. There is spicy. Okay. It's so cute. You pressed your mouth against Cove's, holding it there in a longing kiss. It was only when your need for air became too much that you finally broke apart. Cove inhaled rapidly, then leaned in again. This time he gently slid the tip of his tongue. I'm gonna try and do them all. Against startled, you let out a tiny exclamation of surprise. Oh shit! And then quickly melted into the kiss. He responded in kind, kissing you deeper and deeper as you both sought more of each. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Let's get this one out of the way. You're beautiful. You're stupid and you're so hot. You're really sick. You're perfect. Just, they're all true though. I don't know, man. It's No other words could describe him. Cove sputtered while covering his face with his hand. From between his fingers, you caught his eyes, closing as you spoke, your words of praise rendering him unable to look at you directly. But you could also see his smile spread wider with every syllable you uttered. He squeaked with delight, unable to construct a sentence or even form a single word. Okay, let's go. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. It never got this spicy before. Taking his shirt in your fist, one hand on his waist and the other on his chest, you pressed him over. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. We need to have some chill. I just got it. I'm excited. It's okay. Okay. Cove stumbled over his feet. It wasn't easy, moving backwards as someone else set the pace, but he soldiered on. Once you judged that it was close enough to the bed for a soft landing, you opened your hand against his chest and toppled him over. He didn't resist, falling back onto the bed with the can. It's so cute. His dad's gonna fucking walk in on us. You climbed on top of him. The mattress gave gently under the. Is this gonna be against TOS? Am I gonna get in trouble? The mattress gave gently under the pressure. Your knees sunk slightly as you planted them on either side of Cove's body. Bam! We're getting bold today. Hi, baby. Cove's breath hitched, a much quieter sigh slipping from his mouth as the surprise gave way to realization of the position you were both in. He looked up into your face with nervous excitement. Oh, scroll! I mean, you're not wrong, but also, I can't even handle that right now. Alright, we'll give him a break and do a cute one. He sprinkled Cove's mouth with short kisses, always coming back for more. Cove responded in kind each time, aching for your touch. The tease of getting only a brief connection seemed to make him crave you even more. His hands roamed up and down your back, memorizing the outline of your body. It spurred you on, the gap of time between each kiss shrinking until they were nearly as quick. Oh, it was nearly as quick as the kisses themselves. You peppered his neck with kisses and tiny bites in equal measure, your teeth grazed against his skin, pressing hard enough to make him shiver, then compensating with a soft kiss. Oh my god, this boy wears a tank top. He's gonna get hickeys. He's gonna get caught. We're gonna get caught. Cove sighed dreamily, letting you get lost in the moment. He instinctively pressed his body up against yours while full of your... Oh god, I hope it lets me do the- I don't- It stopped me at like right at the last one last time, but we'll see. You shifted your position on the bed and looped a hand under his head. You coiled your fingers in his hair and solidly took hold of it. You're so getting caught. Oh yes! Ah. It's so cute! In response, Cove reached out and laid a hand on the side of your face, the pad of his thumb gently circling against your cheek. Using your varying vantage points, you pulled closer together, your lips meeting in a kiss, then you let your hand drift back down lower. Cove enveloped you in his arms completely, strapping you across your torso and back in order to bring you in close for a kiss. As he kissed you, the pressure from his mouth and arms increased. You could feel his legs shifting along your sides. And then he used his newfound hold on you to roll over without more- Oh! You were abruptly laid flat on your back, the mattress beneath you, while Cove pinned you- I'm sorry, I'm dying. It's hot in here. It knocked the little breath you had left right out of you. The kiss ended, but he had yet to open his eyes. You were both frozen. It was only when he slowly let his half-lidded ocean eyes look at your face that he understood what he'd done. You got to watch comprehension dawn on his face as his first frown puzzled by a change of view. It was then eased by understanding, followed by mortification as his face flooded with color. Soft boy making moves.
Oh my god.
Oh my... No! No! Damn it! Damn it! Man! He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. From the way he was steadily looking wherever but you knew at once that he was too embarrassed to go any... Okay, hold on. Can I...
Oh my god.
I can rewind. Can I rewrite to the choices? Ha! Ha ha! Hee 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 hee! Alright. We can pick other ones too. Cause that's what we're gonna do. It's okay, we liked it. You shifted your weight on the bed to one arm so that you could trail a hand down his shirt. Your fingertips glided down the soft fabric of his tank top, reaching the hem situated right above the pants. You toyed with the end to give Cove some warning about your next move. He made no attempt to stop you or get away, so you slipped a hand beneath his top, your palm grazing over his stomach. Cove's breath came out fast in hard pants. We gotta see them all. He brought his forehead to rest against yours, and you felt each hot puff of breath tickle your face. He moved your hand upwards, reaching his pecs. Cove gripped your shirt with his fists, twisting and pulling at it as you touched. Jesus Christ! Holy shit. He mumbled something, even with your face so near to his, close enough that you could count every tiny eyelash. You couldn't make out anything resembling a word. You translated instead, based on the tone, he was enjoying it. Oh. Your hand roamed, your fingers rising and falling across the grooves of his chest, occasionally squeezing tight muscle to watch Cove trembling reactions. Squish the titties! Yes! As you finally retrieved your hand from under Cove's shirt, he let out another heavy breath. Cove enveloped you in his arms completely, strapping across your torso and back in order to bring you close for a kiss. As he kissed you, the pressure from his mouth and arms increased, and you could feel your legs shifting along your sides. Then he used his newfound hold. Okay, so I think I only get a certain amount of them I get to pick, and then he'll swap the situation and back off. Okay, so we know where this goes. Let's do the last one. You reached down and ran a hand along his thigh. He tensed and then gave you a wobbly smile as if feeling bad about how much he was impacted by the sensation. As you continued to stroke your handle on his leg, he bit his lip, eyes fluttering closed. Hi, oh god, Rafa! You showed up at a time. He was far more accepting of it now than when you'd snuck in on him at the charity dinner. Given how blissed out he looked with each stroke, you gained a new understanding of just why that was. Cove was so open he couldn't hide the reaction like this, even if you were in public. You showed up at a good time. Yes? Sure. We're almost done. We're almost done with it. Cove reached over and let his fingertips ghost down your spine As you sighed, pleased, he allowed his palm to brush against you and cup your— Oh my! Is he wearing pants or shorts? I think he wears shorts in this version. It depends on, like, he has different outfits. I think he's wearing shorts here. Your grip on him tightened immediately. He left you just as speechless as you had done to him. Cove enveloped you in his arms completely. Here we go. Strapping across your torso and back in order to bring you close for a kiss. As he kissed you, the pressure from his mouth and arms increased, and you could feel his legs shifting along your sides. Then he used his newfound hold on you to roll over without warning, and you were abruptly laid flat on your back, the mattress beneath you, while Cove pinching— I can't do it. It knocked the little breath you had left right out of you. The kiss ended, but he had yet to open his eyes. You were both frozen. It was only when he slowly let his half-lidded ocean eyes look at your face that he understood what he'd done. You got to watch the comprehension dawn on his face as he first frowned, puzzled by the change in view. It was then eased by understanding, followed by mortification as his face flooded with color.
Oh my god.
He extracted himself abruptly but carefully, trying to avoid pushing down on you any further as he got up, primally taking a seat on the edge of the bed. Oh, primly. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. From the way he was studiously looking anywhere but you, you knew at once that he was too embarrassed to go any further. So cute. The blush that reached all the way to the tips of his ears were merely extra confirmation. Cove had accidentally shown more proactiveness than it seemed he was ready to admit to. His embarrassment was sweet, and it made it easy to feel like the more confident one of the pair again. You couldn't suppress the grin emblazoned on your face. You joined him in sitting upright. God damn, I need water. I got hot. It's too hot in here. I'm dying. He cleared his throat, trying to regain some control over the situation. I wish you could stay, but it's getting late. You need to head home and get some rest. Hi, Rafa. He looked at you, attempting to feign an innocent expression. You're not as innocent as you pretend to be. I have evidence now. Evidence. I mean, what if something just happened to happen tomorrow? You had to laugh. Cove cracked a smile, acknowledging his poor attempt at subterfuge. How about I walk you back? I can manage crossing a road by myself. You stay here and get your own rest and fix your pants. Then let me walk you to the door at least. No, because your dad's probably out there. Just stay. It's fine. You silently headed back to the living room together, comfortable with each other's presence. You stopped by the front door. Good night. His voice was soft, like a comforter you just wanted to wrap around yourself forever, but Cove was right, you had to go for today. Good night, Cove. With that, you opened the door and stepped outside. When you walked out into the street, you noticed Mr. Holden was still standing out there. Oh, he was waiting for me to come get him. Oh. He's like, oh, that took a long time. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go. He looked up at the sound of the door closing behind you, his phone in hand, and smiled as he sized up the situation.
Oh?
You were in there a while. I hope it's good news. Oh no. Everything is fantastic. I got it all taken care of. I'm sorry for keeping you out here so long. Were you really gonna stand out here in the dark until I left? Thanks for letting me know about this. It's all great to hear it. Yep, I'm gonna go. Everything truly resolved, you exchange goodnight wishes with Mr. Holden before continuing a very brief trip home. Oh no. Not wishing to disturb anyone, you quietly snuck inside and gently pushed the door closed behind you. As it clicked into place with a minimum of fuss, you let out a sigh. Are we still gonna do, next time you come to, are we still gonna do the third thing? Because, like, what if people picked the play first? I imagine they still have a scene for that. Your mind buzzed as you climbed the steps to your room. Cove had done so much just to make you happy, and you knew he'd be back tomorrow with another big surprise. You were determined to fully appreciate his efforts. You wanted to prepare a gift to surprise him too. You resolved enough was enough, and you were going to change the plans and make him surprised. You resolved enough was enough. You were going to thank him with a gift, and surprise him with a change of plans. Well, I don't know what these would be, but I'm okay with not changing the plans. That's fine. Cove had brought you 2 gifts already, and odds were a third was coming. It was time to turn the tables and have something ready to give to him. I mean, I'm pretty sure we just did that. But okay. At this hour, that was easier said than done. Most stores were long closed, and Cove would be here bright and early to surprise you tomorrow morning. That ruled out purchasing a gift the way that he'd done for you. Luckily, you'd known Cove long enough to see a solution to he likes homemade stuff anyway. Your neighbor was always a happy boy when he was given food. Oh! You were sure you could rustle something fitting that description out of the kitchen one way or another. Feeling invigorated, you spun around and sped downstairs. It was time for you to put your... Oh god, everybody's sleeping while I'm doing this? You were a great chef. You could make something Oh! I'm pretty decent at cooking, actually. I'm pretty okay. Little's great at cooking, alright? You sized up your options. With an early start, you'd be able to pull together something simple in the morning. If you wanted to go for something more elaborate and time-consuming, you needed to do it right now. There was also the option of rallying the troops. Your moms knew how to cook wonderfully, and you could easily persuade them to give you a hand with this. I'll do it. I don't want to disturb the mamas. It was for the best. You chose to... Cinnamon rolls! You were going to make banana, peanut butter, and honey sandwiches. You'd make him... Yeah, fuck it! Early this summer, you bought him some, and he had been ecstatic with the gift. There was no time like the present. You found a suitable recipe and started pulling ingredients out, ready to be measured. Once you had everything you needed lined up and ready for attention, you began working through the steps. You poured the ingredients into the saucepan, mixed them together over high heat, watching the color darken to a golden brown sugar caramelized. Soon the kitchen was full of sweet smells as heat joined the ingredients into one. As you waited for it to reach the right temperature, your mind continuously drifted back to the trip to the farmer's market. You recalled the hustle and bustle of all the stalls and the way you and your very familiar neighbor ended the day with mutual gifts in hand. You chuckled, imagining how there was likely going to be a similar situation tomorrow. Eventually, the striking red line on the thermometer brought you back to the present. Luckily, you didn't let it go too far. It was time. The cast iron saucepan was heavier than you'd expected now that it was full of rich, molten goodness, but you managed to carefully pour it out and prepare it to set overnight. You dusted off your hands, satisfied with the job well done. With your mission accomplished, you headed back to your room. You took the steps lightly, feeling buoyed as you imagined how happy Cove would be with your unexpected gift. Buoyed. Cove was working so hard to make you happy. You dearly wanted your partner to be happy too. You could only hope your efforts would work as well for him as his plans were working for you. You were up early the next day, ready and waiting for Cove's inevitable appearance. Your ears were perked, listening for the doorbell, but instead, What you heard was a familiar rapping on the window pane. He actually came to the window this time, of course. There was no need to look at to know who it was. Only one visitor used your window as his personal entranceway. Getting up, you headed over to let him in and gazed into your neighbor's face as you unfastened the window, opening it wide. He smiled at you, still crouching on the window's ledge. Cove's laugh was airy as the cotton candy sold on the boardwalk. He was in good spirits. I'm really keeping you on your toes. What will I do next? Okay. Whatever you say, baby. He waggled his eyebrows at the joke as he stepped back to let him enter the room. He's a fucking dork. Oh, Scrawl, you missed the fucking line he used on me. The fucking... Oh, it was terrible. Today he clambered through with extra difficulty thanks to the object he was clutching securely. You guessed it was another gift. You really didn't need to bring me anything else, so what did you bring me this time? Thank you. You waited for him to bring it up. I'll let him play his game. Sure, he'd known that you'd seen it and had probably reached your own conclusions, but he'd worked hard on his surprises. He wanted to play along. Cove smiled sheepishly as he held out the present for you. With a bit of flair, Cove clinked together 2 mugs, which he was giving a toast. Both cups were stamped with the Sunset Bird Town symbol. One for you and one for me. I thought it'd be pretty fitting considering how big of an impact this town has had on us. His eyes were trained on you, searching for your emotion on it. I hope you like it. You kissed him, you hugged him, you felt tears well, you took it in the head and fit it. You kiss him always, every time. In no time at all, you closed the distance between you and brought your lips to his. Though startled, Cove happily returned the kiss while still holding your present carefully. Thank you. When you accepted the thoughtful present into your own grasp. Only once he'd transferred ownership and cemented it with your approval did Cove straighten up and pull himself together.
Well...
Would it be alright for me to take you out today? We could, I don't know, go to the theater. Oh no, I'm so surprised. He smirked, already anticipating that you'd say yes. Of course. I'd go anywhere with you, only as long as it'll make you happy too. Alright, but you're lucky I've got time for you in my business schedule. His expression brightened further. That was exactly what he had hoped for.
Thanks.
But before Cove could whisk you away on another big outing, you made your own move. Your surprise would be better than when you got back late that night. You don't even have an option to say no. Yes. There's no... I think it... Yeah. There's no option to say no at this point. Well, I think that option was like... They gave me the option to change the plans and stuff like that. But, I don't know. Kitty, can you not tear up my chair? What, really? It was surprising how surprised he was. Cove had spent 3 days raining gifts and special trips on you, but he hadn't at all counted on you doing something in return. What is it? Stay here for a second and I'll show you. He watched you expectantly as you turned around to head downstairs. You reached where the homemade fudge was waiting and collected the prize. As you flipped back around to your room, gift in hand, there was a smile playing across your face. I swear to God, if my sister's down here and she sees this, she knows exactly what's happening. Cove was patiently waiting where you'd left him, tapping his fingers against the side of his pants. Surprise, here it is. Hope you're hungry. I hope it's enough for a growing boy like you. It's a thank you gift for everything. He looked curiously, barely believing that you had gone through the effort to select a present for him at such short notice. You handed the gift over for his inspection. His eyes widened as he saw the treat. I whipped this up just for you. His eyes were shining as he took the box. You made me more fudge? He dove in at once, grabbing a slab and taking a couple big— oh my god. Happy exhale escaping his nose as he munched away. Do you like it? I could take a guess, but it'd be nice to know for sure. Both kept chewing, gesturing apologetically to his occupied mouth. Finally, after what felt like an age, he swallowed. It's amazing. It's even better than the fudge from the farmer's market. Your mom is right. You really do spoil me. Yeah. He chuckled, recalling the way everyone had ganged up on you and Cove that day, but you couldn't deny the charges. How could you not spoil a guy like this? Eee, he's so cute. Savvy's gonna be so sad that she missed the spicy part of the stream. You missed it! You missed it! Check the VOD, or I'll just highlight it for you, or something. No, it's fine!
It's nice.
Thank you for this, it's so nice of you. You're welcome, I would give anything for you, Cove. Just do me a favor, don't eat so fast that you choke. I stepped away for a few minutes. It was a few minutes too long. How could you? No, it's fine. I can, well, it's probably too long to clip, but I can maybe highlight and send it to you. You don't have to give anything, though. I'm already yours. So cute! His face got significantly hotter after that blunt statement, even though you certainly hadn't forgotten he was your boyfriend. The way he said it left you speechless. It's so cute! His features softened and you felt like you were being thoroughly appreciated. The food you gave was also getting its due attention. He'd already gone through the second serving and you couldn't blame his adult— oh my god. That said, the amount you'd given him was enough for several servings, far more than even Cove could usually finish at once. You made sure of it. Oh, I made it so he couldn't eat it all. That's funny. But as he continued to devour it, you were starting to suspect that polishing it all off was the goal. In spite of the generous portion, he was willing to try and eat it all in order to show you how much— oh my god, no babe, just go put it in the fridge. Just go put it in the fridge. You could tell that he wanted to show how taken he was with the gift, but you'd not presented it to him as a challenge to be overcome. Cove finished his current bite and let out a satisfied sigh. Alright, I'll stop for now. There's other stuff to do, and I can have more later. You can also share some with your hot dad, too, if you want to. That's fine. Tell him I made it. Tell him I said hi. You smiled at him, relieved that your gift could be enjoyed and not inhaled. You clapped your hands, signaling that your diversion had come to an end. Alright, now we can head off to your surprise, too. Yours was a better surprise for sure. It was a real one. He grinned broadly, as if the exchange had fired him up even further. I'm definitely gonna take you out now. Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that, please. I'm still recovering. Go off. He took his hand in yours, palm in palm. Cove squeezed your hand before heading out the door, guiding you away. Hand in hand, you wove down the stairs together, out of the house and into the neighborhood. It's so lucky that my moms didn't catch him just appear in the house. Did we not consider that? It's fine. Cove's car was parked nearby. He unlocked it, allowing you to reach your regular spot in a passenger seat. Cove paused to put what remained of his present safely away before hopping— should we be putting that in the fridge? Do you want to go put that in the fridge in your house? You set off, beginning your trip on the third and final activity of Cove's grand happiness plan. So when I looked it up, there were 2 shows we could pick from around this time. One was a historical romance with nobility, fancy outfits, drama stuff. What, like Pride and Prejudice or something? The other seemed like a modern day story, something set near a lake and at a bed and breakfast with comedy. It's kind of wacky, I feel like that's a reference to something.
So?
What do you think? I want to see the comedy, I want to see the romance, you pick. Let's have a chance decide. I mean, if you're gonna see a play, you want to kind of go see the big ones, right? I don't know. Bridgerton. Cool, I'm curious about what'll go down. What do you think the costumes will look like? Already, your thoughts are busy trying to guess the historical setting. Cove hadn't given you much to work with at all. I don't know, luckily we're gonna find out soon.
Alright.
I'm getting kind of excited. I wonder what it'll be like. I haven't seen a live play before. Your eyes shone into light, remembering the dazzling lights and the grand stage. The theater was a treat you certainly enjoyed. It's kind of fun. It's fun to see. It's fun to think about. Theaters are fun, not necessarily because of watching them. It's just because the production is so interesting to watch, and the acting and the way they like play with the scenery and the sets and all the cool stuff they do. I like that part. That's what interests me in plays. Not so much. I don't know, because otherwise you just kind of sit there and you watch. But it's kind of fun to see the actors do their shit. The rest of the drive flew by. Soon enough, you were at a theater with Cove at your side, tickets in hand, both went inside. I can't believe they let him in a tank top. I guess it's not like anything fancy. Shuffling down the aisle, Cove found the right seats and you were getting settled when the lights began to dim. We made it just in time. Your voice came out as a whisper. Glancing at Cove, you saw him staring straight ahead with eyes glowing wider with intrigue. Then the actors started coming out onto the stage. The show set the scene, focusing on a group of wealthy families and the web of drama they entangled themselves in, and yet despite the tension and chaos, two lovers emerged. Their swift engagement drew nothing but disapproval from their friends and family. You expected that there would be several trials before the lovers could reach any kind of happy ending. The play continued on, and at that point, Cove reached out and covered your hand with his. Featherlight, you felt him stroke the back of your hand with his thumb. It's so cute. Inching closer, you rest the side of your head onto Cove's shoulder and interlaced your fingers with his. He sighed contently over how comfortable you got with him. He became absorbed in the story and performances, and you weren't the only one. Or you became absorbed. During the touching scenes, you could hear quiet sniffling coming from the seat where your longtime neighbor was. He's so sensitive. It's so cute. When the play finally came to a close, the audience broke into applause. Cove clapped for the actors until the noise died down, then he spoke for the first time since the event began. Hand in hand still, you followed Cove out of the theater. The sun was hanging low in the sky. I had so much fun, I can't believe what a good time that was. But really, I might have come back sometime to see another one. Cove scratched at his cheek contemplatively. I sort of thought it was going to be harder to keep up with the, what's the phrase, suspension of disbelief? The actors are right there putting on a show. I thought it'd be too much to believe it was really happening. But I felt more into it than with a lot of movies. I could totally picture the world they lived in. Amused, you nodded along and listened to Cove's animated commentary. I'm still thinking about it even though it's over. Imagine if that was us. Attending high society parties and living in grand mansions, we'd have to deal with the rich and powerful and the politics and whatever that went along with it. Our families could try to force us to follow certain paths, but we'd still find our own way to each other and the others we want to do. He had stars in his eyes as he fantasized about the events of the story. I'm good with the life I'm already living. Are you envisioning us being married like the couple in the story? Raised an eyebrow accusingly, but your tone left little room for doubt that you were teasing. Cove gaze avoided you and settled on the ground off to the side. He spoke softly. Your families are pushing you two to get to— That's true, they were.
I mean,
Like you said, it is part of the story, so it'd be wrong to throw that out, right? Oh! Ah! It's so cute! His mouth pulled into a small smile, and after several heartbeats, his gaze met yours, making your skin feel hotter. Stop! I can't handle another one. My heart. You're absolutely right. The words came out slowly while you watched him in a daze. Cove's smile widened, but he was too flustered to say anything. A few quiet moments passed, and you noticed a distant look on Cove's face. He shook his head like he was trying to send a thought away. What is it? Trying to really picture a completely new life in a new place actually feels kind of weird now that I'm doing it. I'm not exactly sure how to explain. It's exciting. It's also sad. Oh, this is how he becomes a fan fiction writer. He wants to marry you. I'm thinking too seriously about this dumb idea, I guess, but if I don't remember anything of this world, then it would be pointless that I had a life before. And if it did really happen, I probably would be surrounded by totally new people. I wouldn't have you with me. Surprised, you sucked into breath and Cove laughed.
that's...
The fun part of imagining it all was that you were there by default. Just getting to be someone else on my own wouldn't be nice, no matter how cool the place was. It's settled then. I'll just have to look for you if I wind up having another chance at life or magically end up in some other world. I hope you'll try and find me too. Nervous, Cove's eyes didn't quite meet yours. His cheeks and ears were solidly red at this point. He doesn't want to get isekai'd unless you're with him. This is so cute. I'd find you, it's obvious. Of course I'd search for you. I'd never forget about you. I'll see how it goes. My new life might keep me busy. You're getting a bit too out there for me. It's not something you should worry about. You nodded. He felt somewhat worked up over having to even say that. It was absurd to imagine any other scenario. The sincere tone in his voice struck a deep chord with you, and you had to return the earnestness. I meant it. There's nothing anyone could do to stop me from trying to find you again. Well, in that case, it'll work out after all. He took a deep breath and stretched his arms high above his head. He then turned his head to your direction and pointed with his thumb to his car. We better get back to our real world now, huh? It's getting late, and I think we're the only ones still out here. He spun around, getting a good look at your surroundings. Cove was right. All the other cars were out here after show ended. Were long gone. How did I miss that? It surprised you how much you really lost track of everything for a while. You even failed to notice how dark it was until now.
Come on.
Come on, let's go home. After that, you made your way to Cove's car. He set course for your neighborhood, your legs still stiff from standing still and talking for so long, but it was worth it. On the return leg of the journey, you felt Cove lapse deep into a world of thought. Typically, even when conversation was exhausted, his eyes would flick to you occasionally and you'd exchange smiles and other such gestures. This time his focus was split purely between the road and the recesses of his mind. But as there was no sign of trouble on his features, you were happy to let him mull over whatever he needed in peace. The trip drifted by in a comfortable silence. Oh, why does it keep doing this to me? Before long, you were back in the neighborhood. You each left through your respective sides, and Cove stepped around the vehicle to stand with you. I couldn't handle another one, honestly, Scrawl. I would die. Wordlessly, he gestured to your home. He was intending to take you there. Perhaps he felt the trip wasn't truly over until you were literally inside your house. You contentedly continued to go with Cove over his whims, and you went inside. Once under the light of your living room lamps, his eyes locked onto yours. Are we gonna make out in my room now? Change of scenery?
Thank you.
Thank you, Little. I know all of this was a lot, but I really do have so much fun. Really does. He grinned in an almost conspiratorial way. Rabbit needs some water. I have some water right in front of me. I was prepared. We really did it, the whole entire dumb plan of mine. I was happy it all became reality. I hope you're happy too. Yes, I am. I've never been happier. All I want is for you to be happy. Make out in your room. The smile he wore was small, even restrained compared to some of the grins he'd flashed earlier, but it was imbued with a calm, comforting contentment. In this moment, he was as joyful as you'd ever seen. His next... Oh, can I come up to your room? Do you want to finish what we started last night? Damn it, no one makes me feel like you do. Oh, this is cute. But he moved the conversation along before you had a chance to react to that admission. It had to be intentional. Could I ask you to go along with one more surprise? Yeah? His voice was gentle. Even as he implored you for a little more, the question itself was a surprise. Another? You could hardly believe that there was even more hidden up his sleeve, because he didn't wear sleeves. He doesn't have sleeves. I hate myself, you guys. Cove chuckled quietly, nodding his head ever so slightly. A new one. I think I don't want to go home already, not yet, and going back to one of our usual spots sounds fantastic after all the new stuff we went through. Okay. Ah! Your hand lifted up to his face to caress his cheek. He's so cute. I'm not ready to let you go yet either. But I've learned you've got a weird definition of surprise over these past few days. Coming from you, a request like that isn't a surprise at all. You smiled brightly back at him.
Yeah.
You're right, I'm bad at surprises. What a surprise. Oh my god. The two of you laughed together over the silliness of this entire mini adventure Cove had concocted. Thanks for saying yes anyway. You walked down your usual path side by side and hand in hand. You trodden the same path many times, but by all rights the novelty should have been long gone, but you found fulfillment in every step you took. You were sure you always would, with Cove supporting you along the way, whether he was near or far. It didn't matter in the end, he would always be there for you. With this plan of Cove's drawing to a close, you might have expected to feel a little wistful. It had been an exciting few days, but there was no need to yearn for what had gone. After all, you knew that the two of you would always find new ways to bring a smile to each other's face. It's what you both did. You were looking forward to new surprises already. Ah! That was a lot. Alright. So I'll probably wait for the epilogue part of this until next time. I want to play this game now. You should. It's free on Steam. It's free. The DLC isn't. You have to buy the DLC, but even then it's like hella cheap. And they just released a new one that I want to buy, but I'm too poor. I have to wait. But we'll do the epilogue of this next time, and then we can start. We might be able to do the epilogue and then all of Step 4 in one go, because Step 4 doesn't have sections like this one does. It's just like the epilogue to the whole story. And then there's also the wedding DLC, but that might be a stream all on its own. I'm not sure though. We shall see. But we're gonna call that good. That's a pretty good time to stop. 10 o'clock. That turned out pretty nice. Pretty nice timing. I don't think anybody is up and... Yeah, wedding DLC! Yee! Clip highlight the thing. Oh, Noah is streaming. That would be weird. I don't know. I'm not gonna do that. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'm gonna go. Good night and goodbye. And I might be back tomorrow night. I'm not sure. We will find out. Anyway, goodbye. Thank you for hanging out.